Trout! Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Friday the 21st of January 2011. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me in this new year, Robert Kemp.
That was some violent use of trout.
And Zachary Burgess.
Hello, 2011. I can't believe this is only the first podcast we've done in 2011.
I know, we've been pretty lazy.
It's really delayed. Since we did such an epic, long, 3-hour game of the year that no one in their right mind would listen to.
50% more than usual.
I don't think people understand how much it takes it out of you. Having to spread your intellect at such
because we obviously
levels.
So much effort into coming up with all those categories.
To be fair, it was about
a few minutes.
3 times as much effort as you'd ever spent on preparing for a podcast before.
You don't know
that. Infinite, because if you multiply anything by 0, if you divide by 0, you're in trouble. If you divide by the amount of effort we normally spend, you're in trouble mathematically. Yes. So
you will break your calculator.
So I take it you guys have played far too many games, and we're probably not going to have enough time to talk about all of them.
Or you're not going to have enough time to talk about them, and then me and Ron will fill up the entire podcast.
That's okay. I'm the host. I can take one for the team, as it were. So let's get straight into it, shall we? Because every single time, yeah. Well, we can start with me. How about that? And then we'll have impetus to get me out of the way.
Other times, so maybe you should.
Okay. Well, let's do it now. Okay. Well, I'll leave Super Meat Boy until we can all talk about it. But I've been playing Dirt 2. Got that in the Steam sale.
We can all talk about that as well.
Yeah. Did you get it in the Steam sale, Zach?
Yes.
Yes, so we can all talk about that. I like it. It's amazing looking. It's ridiculous. It runs really well on this new computer that I've set up.
It's ridiculous. People say that, when I was talking to Eddie about Gran Turismo 5 when he was showing it's like, okay, it looks good in places, but it's not that great. And it's like, and then I showed him, right, you want to see good looking? I showed him Dirt 2, and he's like, well, yeah, it looks pretty, but it's not very real. And I'm like, it's sort of in the middle, maybe, but it's goddamn awesome looking and runs like stink on a PC.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have any of those shadow dithering problems or anything you get on GT5, but just purely in terms of graphics, it's amazing looking. Dirt was quite good looking, but it had that severe next generation is brown thing.
Yeah.
And they've totally got rid of that. It's really colourful Dirt 2, isn't it?
Well, it's not entirely got rid of, but maybe that's because Dirt is brown.
Well, there's still quite a lot of bloom and stuff going on. But now you've got kind of blurring effects, all kinds of stuff, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff with the menus, where they take a I like it when it takes a photo of what was last on screen and then turns it into a...
Yeah, the loading screen is really awesome. It's the bit you sort of
the
remember of the game, isn't it? Which is like, pow! Here you go to your next thing.
And brings up the music. All that presentation stuff is just ridiculous.
Although it is almost over the top in places.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like when you finish an event and it comes back to the trailer and you have that moment where you look around and there's no way of just saying, hurry the fuck up. Yeah,
that's kind of annoying. And I also find the hey Dan or hey Rob or whatever you have. What did you say?
Hey Spoon.
Hey Spoon. Hey, that was a great race. We should race again sometime. It's like, it's Colin McRae Dirt 2. It might as well be Dave Mirror's Dirt 2. Is it? No, sorry, what's his name? Ken Block. It might as well be Ken Block's Dirt 2 for all I can tell. Especially with Dirt 3 coming in, that it's got that, what does he call it? That where he flings a car around a load of cones and makes it look crazy. Jim Carner.
I know what you mean, but I can't remember what it's called.
So the next one might as well be Ken Block's.
Welcome to the Ken Show.
But yeah, it's severe. But the rally's not long enough, and it's weird how it has competitors in front of you that you have to get past in a rally stage.
That's cool.
I don't know.
It makes sense. That can happen in a rally. Normally, everyone does about as good, so that never happens. But it's just that because the AI is crap, and you're totally owning them, you catch them up.
You just have to
rally. They must space them apart by at least like 5 minutes, not like 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, I know. But the stages aren't as long as proper rally things, are they?
Yeah, but yeah.
I don't know. I quite like it. I think it's neat and original. I quite like it when you get warnings on the proper rally stages of, oh, there's a crash ahead, and you see some dude in a tree.
Although I don't like that when your co-driver interrupts his pace notes to tell you there's a crash going up. Like, I'd rather know about what the corner is rather than there might be a car in the way.
Because if there's a lot of pace notes, it skips the pace notes while it's telling you that there's a crash, doesn't it?
There are places where the pace notes don't work either because he takes too long to read them, and so
or if you hit
he's read them, you've already gone past the corner.
It's like you hit thing and then he stops reading pace notes to say, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a scratch." It's like, yeah, but it's not going to be in a minute.
It's just a scratch, as he says every time, because you usually clip like a tiny bit of wall or something at the beginning or something, I don't know. And then he says that, you hear that a lot. But
I don't mind it when he sort of exclaims when you have a big crash, though.
Yeah,
that's he probably has thrown his notes halfway about the car at that point.
Yeah. I was enjoying the one where you have to smash through the gate crash.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. It's a bit difficult sometimes around the tighter corners to tell what line it wants you to take.
Yeah, they want you to take. Yeah, you have to almost do it twice if you want to get a really fast time, don't you? Because you have to. It's like an addition to learning the track. You also have to learn the line that it wants.
But do you see what I mean about there being? There's a lot of different types of event, but not enough of the cool events.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was the same with the first.
There's not enough of the main rally by a long way.
There never is now.
That's a real shame. And to be honest, my personal favourite, like of the competitive, everyone on is the raid because I like the trucks. They're awesome.
Well, they were cool in the first day, but I like the trucks. I don't know. They don't feel different enough now. Like those big trucks. Well, they're like I don't know. You get that big Dodge Hummers thing, but. Yeah, but in the first game, I remember having proper trucks like Dakar Rally style trucks, with a big flat front end and a trailer. Yeah. Or what they called, I can't remember. But they were raid. Oh, do you? Is that later in Dirt?
No, they're it's like a subset of the raid cars. It's like
is it? Okay.
Trucks, which are those.
Those are the ones. They were mental. Yeah.
But they probably don't.
I don't know if it's the menus or
the raid trucks.
Everything seems shorter than... Maybe it's because I'm at the start of the game, but every event seems like it's really short at the moment.
They do start to push the lap count up as you go through.
Yeah.
But not much.
But it's like... I think it's that the tracks were longer in the first game. That's why they were... It wasn't that they had, less lap count. It's just they had more... Perhaps it's because of the detail they have to put into the... I mean, they look so incredible, and it's amazing the amount.
Then again, some of there are rally stages that are and trailblazer challenges that are quite long, but the sort of impact of that is slightly removed by the fact that most of the time you can tell that the long ones are just a stitching of two shorter ones.
Yeah,
and so they make up a third track by stitching two of the little ones together. It's like, well, that's a bit of a jip.
Yeah. I mean...
Well, it's like you just get the same track backwards, and it's just like...
Oh, yeah.
Could we have more actual tracks, please? Seriously.
I mean, I know it must take a lot of effort to actually build these things, but, it's like Grid. It feels a bit... Because there's so many disciplines, it feels like each discipline doesn't have enough in it.
No.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Maybe they should concentrate... So, what would you drop from to in terms of,
that is a good question because they're all sort of fun in their own way.
I mean, Rallycross
because I don't know, that's just a bit nah. The handling isn't like when you go on the dirt, it's not really dirt enough, and when you're on the track, it's not really track enough.
It's almost like it should be in a different game, almost. Like it's good, but it's not different enough from a normal racing game, whereas the other modes are, aren't they?
Rallycross is kind of a big deal, but the problem I have with them is that the tracks for Rallycross aren't very good. I don't think the idea is bad. I just don't think they put decent tracks in this one for it. I always liked, because Rallycross, but if we're going back to the Rally Sport Challenge days, I quite liked Rallycross in that. That was good fun. And but because the tracks seemed nicely designed for it, they felt more... Well, I don't know, the whole Battersea power station thing, is it Battersea or something? It just seems a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, isn't it?
The Japan track's okay.
That would be a good use for a battersea power station.
Japan
I would
track is pretty goddamn ridiculous as well. Like, there's no way you'd have a jump that low over your own bit of track after like a 270-degree corner. Everyone would just crash.
I actually managed to get confused on that jump on the Battersea Power. I actually I went the wrong way about 3 times before I realised that I was entering the previous corner wrong, and then that meant that I thought it was a jump down and a left, but it's a jump over then a right turn. You see what I mean? So I actually got confused.
You sure you're not getting confused with the Japan track there? But yeah, I know what you mean. The Japan track doesn't have very good signage around it. Yeah. You jump off the thing. Oh, there's a few corners like that where you take them what you think is a chicane, and all of a sudden there's a hard left, but there's lots of open space on your right, and it's like, oh, which way do I actually turn? I can't tell. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. It's great when you have to learn the layout of that one, but it's good when you do. But it's a bit of a problem.
I found it quite hilarious that not only is there standing water everywhere, there's standing water everywhere in the desert. You get to Morocco. It's like, what's all this water? It's really funny.
It's not actually a mirage.
No, it's a real water because you can spush it and it goes on your windscreen if you're in the in-car view and you can't see anything, which is quite funny. But not like playing in-car. It should happen when you're in the bumper cam.
I play bumper cam, but
yeah,
not bumper cam. Sorry, the sort of hood cam.
Hood
cam,
you can
just see the front of your car. I mean, I do play in car sometimes, just because it's like it is a lot more of a challenge for some reason, and it's especially because of the water splash. But
yeah, it's quite funny.
The water splash is evil.
But anyway, so I was playing Dirt 2, and I was thinking, this is great, but I'm not enjoying these rally. I want to try something that has, is a bit more realistic and has the nice, because I remember the old Colin McRae 1 I used to enjoy going around these really long tracks and stuff. So what I did was, I thought about it, what's the game? And I looked up and I got, you can get it on
Colin
250, I got 250 Amazon, Richard Burns Rally. I downloaded
Oh my God.
I got. And I installed this thinking, okay, so this is the insanely realistic, supposedly one. Okay, and I thought, well, I've got the gamepad now. I can try.
Quite some time ago now, this, isn't it? Yeah.
2005. Not that it was amazing look at the time, but it's not bad looking. See, when you consider it has a good sense of speed, basically, and it has really long tracks, and it looks fine. I mean, you get quite a few cases of trees being, if you look closely, there those. No, they don't pop in at all. But it's the fact that the tree is just 2 polygons. Crisscrossed into each other, but there's millions of them, so there's no popping. In fact, the draw distance is really long, and it runs obviously perfectly. It doesn't even and because it's modern enough not to have problems with new machines. It's not like trying to get an old game to run. It's a relatively new game, so that part of it looks fine. But oh my God, yeah. So you have to be incredibly light on the throttle, basically, all the time. It's a bit of a miracle to make it around the track, but I thought when I first tried it, okay, I thought I went straight off. I went off at the first corner, which was an easy left. Okay, and then I thought, oh, this is like that old game Grand Prix Legends. It's so realistic that there's no way I will ever be able to enjoy it. It's no fun.
Yeah.
But what I did was I went into their rally school thing, which is narrated by Richard Burns. A bit like the old Colin McRae one was narrated by Colin McRae, wasn't it? And obviously, Colin McRae died in a helicopter accident, and Richard Burns died of cancer like the following year or something after this game was released. So he's not going to be back for another one. But he was really good at teaching you. I mean, it teaches you all the proper techniques and stuff which actually work in the game. Like the most revelatory one was left foot braking, as they call it. But obviously, with the gamepad, you have your fingers on the brake and the accelerator at the same time, so you don't have to left foot brake, but it's he basically explained to me oversteer and understeer in a way that I'd never really understood before because I've never driven a real car, but explained how what you can do through the corners is you can brake even while you're still on the accelerator through the shallow corners, and that tilts the car forward so that you get more oversteer, so you can turn through the corner better. So there's a lot of thinking about how to angle the car, because the problem is
the weight
how to shift the weight of the car, because if you floor it, you basically can't. If you floor it in Richard Burns Rally, you have so much power that it's quite hard to keep going in a straight line, and also if you brake fully, like if you floor the brake, you basically go into you lock the brakes and you go into an uncontrollable slide. So not only can you not turn while you're braking, it also you basically lose control while you're locked braking, because it could slide anyway. So in any direction you could lock the brakes and you could be sliding anywhere. So so that was the mistake I made at first, was that when I first went on the track, I floored it, had absolutely no steering whatsoever, and then I locked the brakes and it just slid straight off, and it was like, I can't even do an easy corner, But once you get into it, it's really fun. I found I'm shit. So all my times are 10 seconds slower than the ones that are built into the game or whatever, but I'm quite pleased to be able to make it around the track, and it's really fun. I would suggest trying it. I mean, you can get it on Amazon for $2.50, and there's these guys on the internet, I think they're French, but they've made this amazing mod pack for it over the years, and they've just released a new one, Richard Burns Pack 2011. So this has an active community, loads of models and stuff, loads of new tracks, like you can get Pikes Peak, somebody's made, remember that track from Dirt? Obviously, it's a famous actual race track hill climb track in America somewhere, Colorado, I think. But you can get all that extra stuff. But I was just playing the base game and just going around these rally tracks set in England, and it's just really fun, I have to say. But with a proviso that it's fucking hard, and don't squeeze the triggers too hard, either of them. Don't squeeze too hard on the accelerator or too hard on the brake. And when it says fast, when this corner is a fast left or fast right, slow down. That doesn't really mean... it means fast. In their sense, it means fast. But in the sense of us playing games, it means if you don't brake, you will go straight off, basically. You could just about manage the easy left, easy right without, slowing down. But if it says fast, if it says anything else, like... a proper sharp corner, start braking really early, because if you
so
don't
easy
brake
is a
early
sharper
enough,
corner than fast. That seems counterintuitive.
No, it's not. Easy is easy. You don't have to brake so much, but fast you do.
Oh wait, the other way around. Sorry, no, that doesn't make sense. No, you'd think fast would be the one where you don't brake. Sorry, I said that the wrong way around.
You would, yeah, exactly. So
easy is the easiest corner, and then you've got fast, which is
the next level.
Easy.
Exactly.
That's a bit weird.
That's initially confusing. I think you might be able to change it to the numbers. There's all kinds of options. Like you were talking about the pace notes in Dirt 2. I mean, the depth that Richard Burns Rally is. You can go into the options and you can change the distance from the corner at which he will tell you. What corner is coming, and you have to listen so hard to what he's saying, because if you don't, you will be off. You have to, because the stages are really long, and if you're not concentrating for a second because if you're concentrating too hard on the corner, you don't hear what he's saying about the next corner, you are stuffed. It's amazing.
So the handling's it's like the GTR of rally, is what you're saying. It's super realistic.
I suppose so. I mean, the problem is I don't have a frame of reference because I haven't played GTR and I haven't driven a real car, so especially not a rally car. So I don't really know if they really have this difficulty going around corners. It looks, from what I can see on the TV, that they have a bit more grip than it seems in this game, but I think it's because in games you don't get the sense of the power that you do in a real car. So you're going faster than...
You're probably going faster than what you'd imagine you would be, yeah.
Exactly, and that's why you're going straight off, because in reality, they're going a bit slower into that corner than you are, or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
It's why Gran Turismo feels relatively slow when you play it. It's because it's trying to be... Okay, it is a touch too slow, I'll be honest, but it is trying to be... realistic, so your cars are moving at the correct pace around the track rather than trying to be an exhilarating game, if you see what I mean, so they don't exaggerate it.
But the thing that's why
Gran Turismo feels slow when you're playing from outside when you're playing inside the car, it feels a bit faster because it's you're nearer the road.
It feels slow relative to Wipeout.
As gamers, we've got used to insane speeds.
But the thing with this Richard Burns is it actually feels faster than something like Wipeout, or not in a sense that when you're going fast, you're not thinking, yeah, let's go faster like you are in Dirt or something. You're thinking, holy shit, I'm going fast, and if I don't slow down soon, I'm fucked. You get that sense of incredible danger of speed.
Yeah.
Like if there's a long straight, you can go really fast, but then you're constantly thinking, oh god, please let me brake.
Where's the corner?
Yeah, where's the corner? Yeah, it's amazing. So it has a good sense of speed in that sense. It's amazing. Anyway, so check it out. Yeah.
Speaking of rally games, there was another one relatively recently that sort of passed us by because I think it was only released on console, and that was the WRC official rally game.
Oh, I've never played any of those games. They've always been on PlayStation, haven't they?
Yeah, there was one like last year, I think, but it sort of flew under my radar. I didn't spot any noticeable like reviews coming out for it and things like that, so it's probably crap by that logic.
Well, maybe, but
be interesting to see.
I do enjoy rally games, but Dirt 2, very good. But check out Richard Burns Rally if you haven't, and if you're not too scared. And
yes.
Okay,
it'll be interesting to see where they go with Dirt 3. But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's interesting because I used to like the whole get yourself set in for a whole season of rally stuff, no matter how well it goes.
Yeah, well that is insane in Richard Burn because it's like it's got realistic damage, and then you have time to a time in the pits, and if you run out of time to repair things, then you have to just go on, and like there's no restarting of individual stages. Like you're fucked if you go off, and yeah, so you'd have to play. I think you'd have to play quite a few quick rallies before you'd even attempt a season.
Try.
Yeah. So in that sense, it's cool. Quite. Yeah. Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, you could look at it as being so hard that you don't have access to the content of the game because it's too difficult. But it's like everything in the game being only on legendary mode.
Yeah.
But there you go. Anyway.
So speaking of Dirt 2,
What's that?
What they need to do for the next Dirt, or not really for the next Dirt. Well, no. What they need to do for the next Dirt, if they don't just make it a goddamn rally game as they should.
They won't know now. I mean, Dirt 3 looks more interesting from the Gymkhana point of view rather than the rally. You know what I was saying earlier? Crazy throwing it around the playground thing.
But what they actually need to do is like make a new modern rally type game, even if it's not totally rally, even if it includes like raid or whatever style races, where it actually has like track deformation physics. Where did that technology go? That was it was like Sega Rally, yeah.
That's because it was.
What happened?
It was interesting, but it wasn't that greatly done.
Well, no, of course it wasn't. It was Sega Rally. They were never going to pull it off. Really, they don't have the time or.
I don't know. Actually.
Was it just called Sega Rally?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a reboot. It was like
a remake
of the franchise.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
But that's what we need. We need tracks that actually look like physical material instead of a texture. Because I don't care how many particles you have coming out of your car.
Sega Rally renamed its full name, but it was just called Sega Rally in Europe.
Okay. Yeah, because in Richard Burns Rally, it's very important to be on the inside of the corner because all the corners have a slight bank to them or whatever. I don't know if that's real, but they have like almost a ditch on the inside, and if you don't get into that groove, you're going off the outside. But it doesn't have deformation of tracks when other cars go over it. That would be cool, Zach. I agree. That's fun. And you could have I don't know if Sega Rally did it, but like puddles forming in the tracks of cars that had passed previously.
Yeah. It should dirt should be fucking being chucked everywhere and shit, especially in raid, the fat drives. Shit flying everywhere in those cars.
And you can see the mud coming off the cars in front or whatever onto your windshield. That'd be so cool.
Go back to Sega Rally very quickly. Answer your question. It's actually developed in house just by Sega Racing Studio.
Really?
Whether or not they exist or not, who knows? It might have just been a one-off. But interestingly, the PSP version was developed by Bugbear, who make Flat Out.
All right.
I don't know why that's interesting, actually.
Right, okay, shall we move on to you guys? Well, we need to talk about...
There's one thing we briefly bring to the table.
I think I know what he's going to say.
Multiplayer!
Yeah.
It was...
Okay.
Yeah, me and Zach delved into its multiplayer workings, and it's quite a mixed bag, to be honest. Let me put it this way: it's absolutely fine when it works, but I suffer some quite serious problems. In the sense that as soon as I select online mode, the instant I do it, before I've gotten into a race, in the menu I notice a severe frame rate drop.
Oh.
It like halves on my system. It's crazy. It goes from being like silky smooth to being like Xbox style.
What's it doing?
Is once I've got used to silky smooth, that's a bit of a problem. It sort of puts off my driving quite badly. So that's the first flaw. Second flaw was I couldn't actually play a race while my computer was CPU stepping. So this is when I say CPU stepping, I mean like the tech that when your system's quiet and not doing anything, it underclocks your processor. When it's busy, it overclocks it. Which is fine in single player. It doesn't have a problem with that. As soon as I go online, it kicks you out of games as soon as you do that. And I've heard it's rumoured that if you have your... I've looked on the internet, and apparently people who have their base chip overclocked in the BIOS, then it doesn't allow that either.
God,
so you have to have your chip at stock settings in order for it to run, and then put up with a performance drop.
Well, that sucks.
Loads
of people
overclock
terrible. Their computers. I've never done it, but loads of serious gamers, do it as routinely, like overclock, because it doesn't harm it, if it's just a little bit. Anyway, on any processor.
Yeah, if you do it by a small amount, it's fine. But
the only reason they don't come like that,
it just seems a little bit ridiculous.
Just in case.
It took us a little while to get it all up and running. It took us ages actually, to get into a game. After I figured it out and things like that. It seems like the Ego engine in general isn't happy with CPU stepping, because there were problems in Grid where I had to turn off the CPU stepping, otherwise I got a weird pause bug, which still happened when I turned it off, it just happened less frequently.
Right.
But
I suppose that's the same developer, same engine, so
exactly. So
might be related.
They still seem to have issues with that. I think, as I say, the Ego engine doesn't seem particularly happy with it. But once we got into games, generally it was all right, apart from me sucking because I wasn't used to the frame rate. But
yeah,
I was quite bad.
What game?
I absolutely love this. Is why Raid is one of my favourite things, because it works in multiplayer. It's genius. It's just fun.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
It
does become a bit of a It does become a bit of a French fight.
Well, obviously taking each other out, that's more part of the game when it's like a raid or whatever, because it's like, as they say, it's like contact racing or whatever.
Yeah. Did we explain why we call it French?
No, I don't understand that. So
that was back in the day when I was back when PGR3 came out, and I tried to play that quite a bit. The online, generally, it was filled with bastards that tried to take you off the track rather than driving properly. And it became really frustrating, was half the reason why I didn't play it. But almost all of the time, they were on the speech channel and were French. So, to be a bastard in a racing game is Frenching.
Well,
okay.
Or
slightly
to take you out
xenophobic,
deliberately
but
rather than trying to just overtake you is sort of more the specific usage.
Yeah.
In real life, it's more German, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
But as Schumacher would say. But anyway, Frenching.
But it suffers the same.
Not to be confused with kissing.
It suffers the same old problem in multiplayer of if you don't pick the good car, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Or if you don't know what the good car is.
There's like the worst ones are the Trailblazers, where there seems to be like a almost like a gimmick car that's more like a little go-kart with severe spoilers and stuff. And unless you're driving that, you don't stand a chance. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And it just ruins that whole game mode.
You should be able... Is there an option... I didn't actually really look at the multiplayer options because I wasn't making the server even when we were testing it, when Rob was making them. But is there an option to set everyone in the same car? Because sometimes racing games do that.
No, I didn't see that. You could choose the type of cars for the race, but I didn't see force them to a car.
Can you bring your liveries and all that crap to the multiplayer?
It has none. You can bring your liveries into it, but you can't.
Right.
Yeah, you do get the ability to do that and change your horns and stuff.
I always find it annoying in the single player the way it keeps telling you, "Hey, look at all this stuff that you now have." It's like, great, new liveries.
Don't care.
Makes a big fanfare of it, and it's like, I don't really care.
Methods.
This is fair enough topic.
It's lots of skin.
Yeah.
Red and white bitches. Or if
Yeah.
you're in the newer Lancer, you have to have red and black because it's very nearly red and white.
No, you make an interesting point, I think, because a friend of mine has been attempted to play Need for Speed Hot Pursuit and got immediately pissed off with how much the game says, "You've just unlocked a new car," and gives you a big fanfare about it and stuff. And
Burnout used to do that as well.
That you can't skip.
That was the worst thing Burnout, though.
Apparently it's
after
bad.
every goddamn race, it played that entire car sequence where it's like, we're going to do shit.
Doesn't it do it in
and then
Paradise
you get 3
as well?
cars in one race.
It does do it in Paradise, but when you unlock it, the moment you unlock it, it's quite brief and just done with it's not like a whole sequence or anything. It's just done with graphics on screen saying you've unlocked this in a sort of cutaway for a moment, and then goes back to where you were. But next time you visit the garage, like when you start up the game,
right.
or the junkyard,
It goes
the next time you
or something.
Yeah, they all drop onto the screen one by one, and it takes a fucking age.
God damn, guys, don't do that.
It's like, if Criterion, you're great at a lot of things, that is not one of them.
Yeah. I don't know.
I still
was
remember
really annoying in
Burnout 3 because it had that little that drum roll at the start of that little bit of music where it's like
And it can start the music over again. Wouldn't it start the music over again if you earn 3 cars in one?
Yeah.
And you play the stuff, and then you skip to the next one again. Oh man.
Actually, this is a good place to move on because I do want to talk about Burnout Paradise because I've sort of been playing that more. I don't want to talk about it too long, only to say that the more I play it, I did sort of get into it a little bit, but without liking it in a weird way. It's like it has
heroin or something.
It has annoyingly it has the draw that I talk about, and once you start playing it, it's very very difficult to put the controller down. Even if for all its flaws, for all its problems, which are many, it's the most annoying plus is that I can't pull myself away from it. I still can't get over the fact that it's not.
And
I know
this hasn't happened so much before, has it?
It grew on me. It didn't happen at first, but after a while, I sort of got into the swing of it, and then the draw kicked in, and then you sort of end up playing it for quite long periods and not realizing. But that saying, I still get a bit annoyed with it. There's there's like the car intro thing is very obvious. I get a bit annoyed with how I just don't know, the open world design doesn't work for me, especially when the game tells you at the last possible moment you should really take a left here, with a tiny little indicator on screen that makes it really really quiet.
Or your
noise.
car indicating,
sort of tells you where to go. Usually too late. So you slam on the brakes. You even use the handbrake or something like that, and still slam into the wall of the corner, and have no hope to get round it. And most of the AI tends to do the same when you do that, which is hilarious. But completely not. It's just like the game is at its best when you're not turning corners, and it's like, well, surely that's against the point of a racing game, really. It's
Burnout has always been quite good at relatively shallow corners in the actual tracks, and that's not conducive to an open world design, is it?
No, when you're sort of doing it's at its best, and you've got quite long sweeping corners, and you can power slide around them,
and
which is something that
to make it interesting.
Which is something that obviously Need for Speed has taken on board because none of its tracks really have sharp corners. And it's,
exactly. I mean, that wouldn't work as an open world. I mean, it is an interconnected world, but isn't it?
But you don't get free drive.
Yeah, it's interconnected, long, windy roads, isn't it?
Which leads me to the second
intersections. It's not a city,
Which leads me to the second most annoying thing about it, and that if you can't turn corners, taking a shortcut is even more perilous, because generally the shortcuts that you try, you're in the middle of a race and you think, right, I'll just go this way and sneak past these guys, which are, and the shortcuts and the special routes are usually indicated by big yellow signs, so they're hard to miss. You'll go in one and find it takes you to a completely different road going in the opposite direction, and you're like, oh, how was I supposed to know? Taking a shortcut during an event is a bad idea, unless you're doing a stunt run, in which case it doesn't care where you go as long as you're jumping like a crazy motherfucker. But shortcuts. Exactly, but there's too much, and it becomes annoying.
World,
you learn pretty fast not to take them because you're going to lose if you do so. Except on some bits of track, anyway. But
on the linear tracks, I thought they went a bit over the top with shortcuts in Burnout Revenge, to be honest, because every 2 minutes there was 2 seconds. Well, like not 2 minutes, but they're big blue signs, and there was a different route over most portions of track, and I thought, oh no, that's a bit over the top. But when they don't flat out don't work, like in the open world,
flat out don't work, yeah.
Was that weird? Was that a weird thing to say? Sorry.
It was a bit synonymous with the game Flat Out, so it's like flat out don't work, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sure that game works fine. I didn't really like
I've been playing that too.
Flinging blokes. Oh, okay. Yeah.
This could be the driving edition of the cast.
Seems to be so far.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really quite irritating, and also it still suffers from the same problems where you can be driving straight down a road and the traffic will drive into you. They'll instead of just staying in their own lane and minding their own business, they'll panic and swerve into you, and it's like...
Or like Midtown Madness 1.
Yeah.
Must crash into you.
The bloody traffic AI is non-existent. It just sort of does what it wants. It's like when the traffic realizes you're driving towards them, they'll just do what they want. They'll turn in any direction possible, most of the time towards you. And it's like, oh, fuck off, I've lost that race because of something I couldn't do nothing about.
Couldn't do nothing?
I couldn't do nothing about it, innit?
That's like a double negative.
Oh, shit.
Do nothing, then you could have done something. Anyway, so what else you been playing, man? Flat Out?
Flat Out, yeah.
Well, Dan's on... be talking.
Oh, well,
no, I'm done.
I've got another driving game. Stick to the driving thing.
No, I haven't got any other driving games.
You got a driving game, Zach? You got a Vroom Vroom?
He's got Dirt 2, isn't he?
Other than Dirt 2.
Yeah, we already covered that, though. I think that's it for driving.
Right. I won't talk about Flat Out very long.
To finish all his ridiculous driving.
Yeah, I won't talk about Flat Out very long because it's not much. I haven't played it too much. In that it's Flat Out Ultimate Carnage I've been playing, which is essentially a graphical sprucing up and slight balance tweak and physics improvement over Flat Out 2. And yeah, the graphics are quite nice in places. It's not particularly amazing by today's standards, but there's some nice water effects, and the crazy level of physics of stuff flying about the track is often quite pleasing. It's weird. It's like if Burnout is complete arcade thingy, imagine Flat Out is like a carnage racer powered by physics. It's like the way the cars collide and sort of fly about the track is actually quite real feeling, and the way that admittedly the physics of things you run into in the world is kind of light, so you can quite easily run through a giant telegraph pole for easy and it will just go flying.
Yeah.
But and you'll only lose a bit of speed. But the point is you do lose speed, and it's so crashing you can't just plow through things. There's a downside to destruction. And it's up to you to sort of that balance in check, because you get points for being aggressive against the enemy and destroying bits of the terrain and things, but obviously your aim is to win the race. So there's an interesting balance, and it sort of works, which is the weird thing about it.
Destruction Derby or something, isn't it?
Kinda. There is a Destruction Derby mode. It's
right.
like they call it Carnage or something, basically, where you get set in a parking lot or something, and you just have to destroy each other. And there's like a last man standing variant, or there's a life-based variant where you keep going for a while until the timer runs out, or until everyone runs out of lives. Yeah. And that works as well. That's pretty good fun.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
does it have the classic drive backwards because you fucked up the front of your car thing?
No, it's an air damage system rather than an area damage system.
Okay. Does it have all that crazy stuff in the first game? The sports of like flinging a bloke out the front windscreen. Is that still hilarious? That's the best thing about
It's kind of lost a bit of its charm now because the novelty's kind of worn off. But they've made them a bit more difficult, and you actually have some air control of your driver when he flies out the windscreen. Very slightly, and it's a bit of a trade-off because if you do so, you lose momentum by steering yourself. And it's more about the funniest bit about that now for me is the sound effects, because when you fly out of when someone flies out of the car, there's this ridiculous scream that goes with it. So it's just like, ah!
Is it the same scream every time?
For the ladies, it seems.
Oh, right, okay.
when you're killing them a rival driver who happens to be a woman, they always make the same scream, which is like, ah! It's quite entertaining. Anyway, I haven't played that too much, so I'll stop there, and I'll leave further judgment to later.
Okay, moving on from racing games, I think now.
No. There's one more, and it's very
another one. Okay.
It's very, very important, and had I played it earlier, probably would have been a contender for my game of the year.
What the hell could this be?
It's only fucking Blur.
Yeah? Is that amazing?
It's fucking awesome.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, but sad news, though.
Yeah, I know. Bizarre are now actually properly closing.
They're properly closing, yeah, now.
Which is... they'll regroup in some sort of spin-off company, for sure.
Well, they'll go. All the developers that work there will go and work for somebody else, different people, I imagine. So we'll probably never hear anything.
Which is a real shame because Blur is absolutely brilliant. There really isn't much I can think of to say bad about it, which is unusual for something I review. I know, but I get a bit ranty about games. But this one is just fucking-tastic.
So did you get this on the Steam sale or something?
Nope, I got it for it was a tenner on Play.com for the Xbox. Oh, I got it for the Xbox after hearing rumours about the we've talked about this before about the community being a bit small and it possibly being hacked, but
yeah,
it's just fan.
It's a console game anyway.
It is, to sum it up, it hasn't changed much from the beta, so it is still Mario Kart with weapons. Some of the graphical glitches from the beta are gone.
Good.
Not Mario Kart with realistic stuff, I guess.
Well, it's
weapons, but yeah.
It's kind of a cross between Mario Kart and Wipeout, but with real cars, or vaguely. I don't know.
Yeah, with real cars and the handling's not. It's sort of the handling strikes a fine line between arcadey and realism. So when you're sliding, for instance, you slow down over time, so you can't hold a ridiculous drift, for instance. But you might get around a corner slightly faster than if you took it with proper braking and racing line. But the game gives you the choice because you've got drifty cars and grippy cars and cars that are in the middle. So you can pick a car and cars that are good on dirt, so you can don't have to stick to the road all the time. And one of the big things it has over any other game is the fact that the majority of the races have 20 cars on the track, which is considerably better than the average 8 that most sort of racing games go for. It makes
big wide tracks so that you can.
Yeah, the tracks are quite wide generally.
You don't really see very many at once, though.
Well, no, the pack spreads out.
There's like 5 in the corner.
Yeah, there's 5 taking the corner at the same time in that screenshot, and you can see 3 more in the distance, and that's only in the middle of the pack. Obviously, there's the leaders miles away, but it's because the pack spreads out and you change place quite rapidly between the front and the back, and it makes it more interesting.
You start at the back.
You start at the back, yeah.
Right. Does it have the ridiculous first corner where the frames per second goes down to 0 because 20 cars have just piled in? So
surprisingly not. I've never noticed a frame rate drop. Not once.
They don't all start. Doesn't all the cars actually start even near each other? Really?
They are spread out
like
quite
a grid,
a way.
Is it?
Well, they're sort of in the location where it should be, but it's always a rolling start. Yeah, so the game immediately puts you into the action, and they are spread out a little more in single player than they are in multiplayer. But even in multiplayer, there's 20 players, and they're bunched up a bit more, and it still handles it. And there's an amazing sense of style in the graphics as well. They're not amazing, but they're all very glowy. Every car has a red trail behind its lights. Cool. All the explosions are quite pretty. In the fact that
games should do that red trail more, because reality has red trails at night, cars and stuff, doesn't it? I mean, maybe
probably not that much, but it looks cool. It's just filled
so does it not have the Mario Kart / Wipeout press the button at the right time for a boost at the start thing?
No, that's not there because of the rolling start thing. That doesn't exist.
Right. Okay.
You start at sort of like half your car's speed, and so the acceleration still has a kick to who gets the best knock off the line.
Okay.
There's a bit of a there's a tiny amount of certain cars are better than others, in general. So as you rank up your player, either online or offline, you gain access to better cars within that class. So as you rank up, things start skewing towards the right hand of the list. You know how it goes. So there's a little bit of that, but they don't improve much. It's like they improve in areas in the single player. It's quite well balanced because they improve in areas that you probably will need for the next set of challenges. So by the time you reach that rank, you'll start using different cars to do the set of challenges you're currently on. It's quite well paced in that, and it's a different pacing to how the online works. You unlock cars in a different order for online, but you have obviously the races that can come up online are a little bit more random, so they could probably spread the types of cars about a bit more. And the game's not entirely the same online and offline either. In the main core racing is the same, but except for the fact that in online you can customize your car more, whereas offline there's more to do in the middle of a race. Like there's gate challenges to run through whilst battling opponents. So it's like go through this number of gates and you'll get a fan bonus, or
that's cool.
Or pick up these little icons and it will give you a task to do, like perform a good drift in the next 10 seconds, or kill someone with a hit with a reverse red shell.
It could get really boring in the middle of races sometimes, especially if you're ahead and stuff, or I don't know.
Well, there's still not much to do if you're ahead other than the fan run, which is the gate. They call the gate challenges fan runs.
It's a start though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
you still have a blue shell, but it's not nearly as effective as it is in Mario Kart. It drops like 3 plumes of electricity on the floor, and you can dodge around it if you're good enough. But it generally creates a sort of a power dropping effect. So when you run over them, your car loses power temporarily. And it's sort of it's good because there's so many cars on pack. There's actually quite a few of these about, so it keeps the pack fairly dense.
Ah, okay.
It's quite
it's
well
not like
balanced
a rare smart bomb like it is in.
No, it's not like blue shell on the line equals lose kind of situation. It's cool. Just the balance is brilliant. The tweaks, the differences between online. There are different game types online to what are offline as well. Like there's a Destruction Derby style game you can only play online, presumably because they couldn't bother to make the Destruction Derby style AI. But
right, yeah.
But you can only play that online, whereas offline you get like destruction challenges where there are dumb AI cars with low health driving about, and you have to kill as many of them as you can to get points and stuff as you drive around the set. So both sides of the game are just as interesting as each other.
So what are the customization options for the cars then?
Offline, none. Basically, you only get to choose your colour, and you do get a mod loadout, but it's very basic in the sense that you can change some aspects of how your car works. Like one of them is overbolt, which means when you pick up a bolt power up, which is like weak green shells, you get an extra 1 every time you pick up the power ups. You fire 4 instead of 3, or one of them that makes your shield more powerful, lasts longer, and if any car touches it, they get pushed away by it. Things like that. So very, very slight variations. Don't really affect whether you win or lose. It just depends on your playstyle, which are quite nice. Online takes it a bit further than that because you get 3 mods to attach to your car at any one time, the combination of which you can choose within a certain... they're split into different categories, and you're allowed 1 from this category, 1 from this category, 1 from this. And you can basically build up your own mod combinations on how your car handles. So at the minute, I'm still quite early in the ranking tree, so my customizations are limited. But I have a laser sight, so I can aim my bolts a bit easier. A battering ram, so I don't take ramming damage quite so much, and I deal more out when I ram people. And I forget what the middle one is.
Like perks, sort of, aren't they?
Yeah, kinda. It's like the Call of Duty perk system. Yeah.
Yeah. That does seem to be adopted by almost everyone, that Call of Duty perk system. And
it's got leveling and it's got the perks. It's pretty much Call of Duty for racing games.
Yeah, I don't blame people for copying that. I mean, use that in a racing game and there you go. I mean, what the hell happened with Blur then? Do we?
I honestly don't know why it went wrong. It is.
I mean,
so
I think
good.
the name and the brand being a bit similar to a certain pop band. Mine, it's got almost the same font going on. I don't know how they did that. but they could have branded it better. But
that's the thing. It had a reasonable amount of media coverage because it had ads where most racing games wouldn't. And
yeah, I don't know what happens.
I honestly don't know why it failed. It just didn't seem. I guess it was in the middle of summer, which may have been a downtime for games, and people thought only bad releases come out now. But that's sort of racing season is summer. It's
anyway. The point is that it's now £10.
It's
so
now super
go
cheap.
And buy it.
Yes, raise your hands, support. Admittedly, it's a dead cause now, but just be awesome and buy it, please, because it's it is amazing. You won't regret it. It has so many little neat features as well. The second, this is a great feature I discovered just by turning on the game the second time, is that it tells you get this lovely screen where it says previously on Blur, and it tells you everything your main achievements you achieved last time you play, like how far you got in the online, who you defeated in the single player, which rival you took down, how close you are next achievement, and on your achievements list, and it's really neat because it helps you remember what you did, feel good about it before you've even started playing the game.
That's cool. I like that.
It's really it's like, the way I think of it is it's kind of like what Need for Speed did with Autolog, but not quite to the same level. I mean, you can challenge friends. There's the leaderboards. There's all that still in there, and there's even Facebook integration. And it's but it's sort of like
which Hot Pursuit doesn't actually have, despite the fact that Hot Pursuit has a wall.
Yeah, it doesn't actually have Facebook. Which
doesn't actually have Facebook.
Bit of an oversight.
I care, but yeah, whatever.
But you know what I mean? It's like it was trying to do Autolog before, but in a slightly less, it's all about this kind of way. It's like it won't tell you if friends beat you things unless you've specifically challenged them, things like that. But it's trying to be social, which is nice.
Sweet. Excellent.
But, yeah, well, I don't know what else to say. It's just amazing. For the love of God, get it.
Check out Blur. Okay. Well, I will have a look for it if it's cheap, and I may join you in that. Since I didn't get Hot Pursuit, I might consider that as the El Cheapo option for the time being.
Yeah.
But sure we'll get around to them soon. Okay. So that's the driving game section of the pod over.
Yeah, I think I'm done with that. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool though. I like driving games. We don't talk about them that much normally, but I suppose we talk quite a lot about GT5.
For ages.
Yeah, but now there's been a bit of a glut, which is nice. But what else have we got? It's a question.
Who wants to go next? I'm done talking for a while.
Okay, Zeg. What have you been playing, man? That isn't Dirt 2.
Well, the trouble is we still need to all talk about Super Meat Boy again.
Let's do it now. Super Meat Boy.
But now, Rob doesn't want to talk.
Believe this. You've played it more than
all we've done about Super Meat Boy on the podcast is me just playing the demo and telling you guys this is fucking the win. Yeah, just buy it. And we all
I
got
said,
it, didn't we,
if it gets cheaper in the sale, I'd buy it. And then it did. How convenient.
You actually bought it for me for Christmas.
Well, that's because I thought you wouldn't see it, and it was like a 24-hour Steam deal.
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
right.
Since I'm the one who's always here to see those, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Don't want Dad to miss this and then not buy it just because it's got expensive again. Or have to pay more. Not that I really care how much money you're paying. Ha ha.
So, Zach, do a nice review of Super Meat Boy and explain why it's the best thing ever.
Apart from Blur.
Okay, it's not the best thing ever, but it's pretty amazing.
Gosh.
I don't know, because it's just, I know, fun. There's nothing to say. That's the trouble with it. It's like there's nothing to say about it. It's just like
it is what it is, isn't it? It's it's a hard master control platformer. Weirdly, I played the original Meat Boy, which was a Flash game on Newgrounds, and it's like it's a fan. If you've played Super Meat Boy and haven't played the original, do so, because it's a great sort of way to see just how far the game has come. Because the concept of the first Meat Boy is pretty much get to the end just by platforming skill alone, but the controls aren't nearly as tight on the Flash game. They're a bit floaty.
They're good in the.
They're a bit weird, and it's like
Super Meat Boy.
The concept doesn't work so well in the Flash game, but then you get Super Meat Boy, and because the control is so good, the whole game is made.
You know what? Before I was buying it, I was thinking, am I going to get it on the console or the PC? Because I think I can't decide whether keyboard would be better or gamepad, and I ended up with it on the PC. And I tried the keyboard, and it does suck. But luckily, I have a gamepad, so I now have the what should we call it, the dongle thing for the PC that allow you to plug in your
the wireless
360.
thing.
Yeah, so and that works fine. Gamepad is way awesome. It has analog
control. It feels
control.
more comfortable for me for a while. But,
there's an option in the menu.
Without my hand falling apart.
Okay,
right,
maybe I press the button a bit hard, but... but I don't think press the gamepad doesn't any less hard.
It does.
It would be on thumbs instead of fingers.
Yeah, well, it's more on the back of your hand or something, somehow, because of the way you press the A button. I don't know what it is that makes that game hurt, but it does hurt. It's not as bad as, like, Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS, which was hilariously...
That hurt so bad. Actually, going off on a bit of a tangent, have you heard about how the new Kid Icarus game on 3DS?
Yeah, that does the same thing, doesn't it?
Apparently it has a similar control scheme, and apparently it was fine for the demo things, because it's all the DS obviously rests in this nice security cradle, meaning you don't have to take the weight yourself, so it probably works in that environment.
Block.
As soon as you're holding it yourself, you'll end up with... Do you remember F-Zero Finger?
No, but go on.
You know, do you remember, what was it from? The GBA version of F-Zero where you pump the air brakes, and after a while your fingers feel like they're dying.
Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that since that pumpy grip thing. I liked that. That was cool.
It was good fun.
Because it was a terrible control scheme.
No, it wasn't. No, you didn't pump the. No, you pumped the thrust, didn't you, to get grip? Yeah, you pumped the accelerator. You just had to hold the air brakes.
Still wore your thumb out and things like that. It caused a bit of hand cramp.
It wasn't a terrible control scheme, but go ahead,
it wasn't terrible, but it didn't. It would have been better on the program.
Yeah, it's like if they want to make this weird DS control system where you're like holding it with one hand and pushing down on the screen with the stylus, which is what the whole problem is. It's like, obviously, some ridiculous third party needs to come in and make some kind of weird brace that like attaches to your wrist and then like extends under the DS to give it extra support or something. Mad Cat's wrist brace.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at the 3DS design and thinking, well, this is the obvious way to do FPSs, and now we'll have like analog control over the movement using the stick and analog control over the looking using the touchpad or whatever. But I mean, it seems like just looking at one thing they could do is just make the I don't know how you do this, but make the touchpad like finger friendly, like the iPhone, as well as stylus friendly. Because then
I'm surprised they didn't do that. Really,
yeah.
They didn't make like a special. Oh, I forget which way it is, whether it's resistive or capacitive. I think it's capacitive.
It's capacitives for the fingers, yeah.
Yeah, but you could, people make special stylus stilly.
Well, the original DS came with that thumb nodule anyway.
Yeah, but it's not the same, is it? As in terms of,
you should just be able to just have a smooth screen and just use your finger.
Yeah, but the other thing I thought
that was what they were going to do. I honestly thought that was what they were going to do before 3DS was announced. Is that the next level DS would have they'd make one of the panels, like the top panel maybe, one massive screen that was multi-touch sensitive. And I thought that was where they were going to take it, but 3D took
But you can't do the touch with 3D, obviously, on the 3D screen.
A bit mental.
But the other thing I thought was just looking at the thing. I mean, this would be more difficult and it would make the device more expensive. But thinking about how much money stuff like Call of Duty makes, why not just go the whole hog and stick another one of those analog sticks on the right-hand side underneath the buttons? Why not just go the whole hog? I mean,
if there's room to do it, then yeah.
Well, there is room there on the design.
And it's comfortable.
I don't know if there's room inside on the design. There probably isn't, but there is room on the outside. There's a blank space, and it's
then it doesn't have enough buttons that you can reach at the same time as using both the analog. It's not like you've still got two buttons, but they're not really triggers, and they're not in particularly helpful positions, because the DS L and R buttons have always been pretty terrible to reach, even when you're holding it like that.
That's true.
That's the problem most handhelds have. The only one that does the shoulder buttons well is the PSP, but then if you want to use that, its analog controller, that's in a bad place and makes it uncomfortable again.
Yeah.
So no one's got it right yet.
I don't know. I think in general 3DS hardware looks pretty good, but
we were talking about this before we went on air. It's expensive for a handheld. It's expensive. I mean, I know the PSP pushes the boundaries of how expensive a handheld can be, but I don't know.
But it's a different brand, you know.
If it's
Sony has that thing, doesn't it? They can afford to make the PSP expensive because it's a different. I don't know. Their branding is, or whatever you call it, is different. It's more
like
high-end electronic,
hardcore, isn't it? Yeah.
And less toy-like. And they're doing well with that toy-like thing. I mean, the Wii, not that the Wii is cheap for what it is.
I know, but the Wii is expensive. The DS is still expensive in my eyes. Yeah. Seeing the tech is now what, 6 years old? Something.
Yeah, Nintendo never dropped their prices because we discussed that before.
But they used to. Remember when the N64 was sort of in the middle of its lifespan, when it was, well, no, actually not even in the middle of its lifespan, only shortly, it wasn't long after GoldenEye, that they dropped the price of the entire console to £100.
But that's because the price,
which was amazing.
The money there was in the carts because they were so expensive to make.
Well, true, but you know what I mean. They don't encourage people in. I don't think it's like the DS is desirable, so they can keep it high. But from a consumer point of view, from a gamer who knows about these things, and we've talked about this theory before, as people who know about this, it feels like a jip. In the same way that the Wii feels like a bit of a jip, and I shouldn't have bought it on launch. It's.
I think that £230 or $250, I think it's probably okay for launch, but it will have to come down a bit because
for me it depends entirely on how much power is inside the unit. Because if it's like not much more powerful than, I don't know, then if it's less powerful than a GameCube, it might be a touch annoying.
Well, the thing is,
the PSP,
I think
we've been spoilt by the PSP in a way because it's had near PS2 style graphics for a long time. The 3DS will have to match that and then some to be impressive. I mean, 3D is one thing, but if the frame rate drops that people have been talking about become too much of an issue, or if the
main thing about it is that I think it's definitely more powerful than the PSP, but the trouble is that every single game, no matter how good looking, will have to run at 60 so that they can have it run at 30.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
For 3D.
Oh, yeah, it has to run at 30 frames for,
Do you see what I mean? So it has to run at double the frame rate than a normal game.
It depends how they do the technology, but...
Yeah,
it depends how the screen works, because if it's lenticular, they can split off the resolution to a camera slightly across, which is fine if they're not doing pixel shader effects. There should be no frame rate hit on that. But again, it depends how the tech works.
I'm not sure how the tech works, but I think they are rendering both the frames separately, because apparently in some of the games have an option in the menu where you can turn off the 3D and double the frame rate. So,
I've heard about that, and it's not an option, it's just controlled by the 3D slider.
Oh, is it? It just automatically, when you switch it to completely off, it switches modes, does it?
Indeed.
Oh, that's clever. There's a lot of clever things about the hardware in 3DS, and I think Street Fighter 4 looks pretty good. And have you seen the Resident Evil video?
I haven't watched the video, but I know of it. The Mercenaries thing.
Whatever it is, it looks pretty much like Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. Really, I would say. It's pretty impressive. And even Kid Icarus looks pretty good. I don't know. But I mean,
it doesn't look as good. Well, I don't know. The graphics so far, from what I've seen, don't look as good as what the Cube could have produced. Even from
that's true. Well, nothing looks as good as F-Zero,
even with the reduced resolution, the general detail in the scenes doesn't look that great. But
yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. But I think in general they're on a reasonable track with it.
Make it cheaper. That's my only problem with the price. I don't get on with that price. What it is. It shouldn't be more expensive than a Wii.
Look, it's just the market. That's how Nintendo are just a company, and because they've had such success with the Wii, but what will happen is if people don't buy it, they will reduce the price. But if they buy it, then they won't. It's as simple as that.
Just imagine it was 2.5%.
That's the problem. Rich bums will buy it is the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. But the trouble is
2.5% cheaper last year, and then blame the government.
Well, for the VAT increase, yeah, probably.
Yep.
And the thing is that 230, I think it will have to come down because I'm thinking of my aunt and uncle and their 3 boys, 8 and 11 and 14, and they'll all want one, and that adds to £700, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, in a weird way, the DS probably doesn't, to most people, probably 100 and something odd quid, the DS doesn't to most people probably doesn't seem expensive, because to them it's like, oh yeah, but I can do this, this, and this, without really having too much of an understanding of, actually, that's quite old tech that's running on, It
doesn't matter. I mean, it's like, a lot of those games, it doesn't matter how old the tech is, because it's not about the tech, is it?
Well, no, true, but we know, yes, for the techie guys like us will know better that there is no reason for it to be. But for them, that price point is still reasonably accessible, if you know what I mean. It's sort of, it seems to be hitting the sweet spot. If it was if it was any more expensive than what it is, because I still think the DSi and the DSi XL are pushing it a little bit in terms of a decent market space. If they were to go any more than that, they'd be in trouble and people wouldn't buy them. And by introducing something that is kind of double the price, I think they're perhaps pushing it somewhat. Unless there's a dramatic drop in DS price after the 3DS comes out, they might be playing a dangerous game in terms of, because I don't know, there's something about the DS that shouts volume to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's desirable in quantity.
I think you're right.
And at the price of the 3DS, I don't think they're going to get the same effect.
We'll just have to see. I know what you're saying about the price, but I wouldn't be surprised if, despite the price, it still turns out to be the fastest selling console ever.
You haven't seen 3D, happen. And no one can see 3D until they've actually seen it, which makes it impossible to tell whether the price is worth it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
The bottom line is that 3D, to me, at the moment, I haven't seen an example of 3D that adds to a game. It'll be interesting to see if any of the 3D actually adds to the gameplay, or is just something different.
Apparently that crazy sort of tech demo from E3 has been improved, the one with the faces, and has been built into the software, inbuilt, it's like built into the firmware.
Yeah, the firmware.
What do you call it? The dashboard or whatever. It's got a built-in game, which is, do you know about? It's like, it's an augmented reality game, and you take photos using the 3D camera of someone else's face, the two cameras on the front, and then they become like a blob in the game, but they're an enemy and they start attacking you, and the background of the game is the room you're in, because it takes a 3D picture of that or something, and then it's like your friends' faces are sort of coming at you and attacking you, and you have to keep them down or something. It just looks hilarious, and they've literally built it into the console. Isn't that genius? Oh.
That's quite funny, actually.
Sounds hilarious. Can't wait to try that. Anyway, yes.
I'm a little bit worried about it, but Nintendo have a habit of making something that's desirable but ultimately a bit flawed. Like, whoever uses PictoChat, to be honest. It was fun the first few times everyone got a DS, and it's like, we can wirelessly chat on this and play Hangman against each other, which we could have done before with paper. And it's, it has
That's only a problem because the wireless range is so shite.
And the fact that they didn't think about in terms of Wi-Fi early enough.
Well, the 3DS has got all those crazy new wireless features that sound amazing. The way it kind of, even when you put it asleep, it's kind of aware of 3DSs around. So if you go on the tube and there's someone else in the carriage with a 3DS, it'll like vibrate or something, or say there's somebody there, who has the same game as you, let's play Street Fighter 4 or something, so you can challenge. There's this amazing video of like these two Japanese people on a train going, challenge accepted, basically just by looking at each other and then beating the shit out of each other on Street Fighter. But all that stuff, I mean, you can use that.
That's quite, in Japan, I see that as being brilliant. Everywhere else in the world, not so much.
Yeah, I know.
It's not that I'm saying I'm not envious. I'd quite like that culture to exist in our humble nations, but it's in Japan that would be absolutely amazing. It will take off. That will be a good thing. In the same way that sort of download stations for the DS plonked in the middle of the city sort of worked
there,
in Japan, but never worked over here, and were trialed on an incredibly rare basis that it never took off anyway. We don't have the same attitude, annoyingly.
That's true. You do see people playing DSs on the underground, though. I mean, it's weird because most public transport, most trains, you see kids playing on the DS occasionally. But on the underground,
how social would you really be with someone just saying, do you want to play a game? I'm doing this right now, sorry, and I get off in like one stop.
Yeah, I know. But it's just the concept is cool, and I like the idea. And also, the other thing is they've announced that
it also makes the assumption. It also makes the volume assumption that that a lot of people will have one.
That's true. Well, they will eventually.
Eventually.
The 3DS.
Which makes it pointless for like the first year.
That's true. That's true. But not as well.
It's gimmicky.
And at least they've made it so you have one friend code now. So it's not a friend code per game. So you can actually have a, you fixed it,
Is it still a code though and not a name?
I think it's still a code, but at least.
Oh, facepalm.
I don't know. They can't get it right, but
They can't, no.
Nintendo.
Well, it couldn't just be a name, because that would be like, you'd have to register a name on a database somewhere to claim it as your own, or whatever.
What's wrong with Xbox Live Gamer tags? What's wrong with my spoon? That's my actual tag. I'd want to keep that.
Yeah, you'd want that, but I wouldn't just be able to have Zay, because someone would take it.
Yeah, but you have
and
Zay
then I'd
the
end up
brick.
with Zay the brick. The annoying when I have to actual letters.
That's awesome.
Oh, genius.
Oh, I like Zay the brick though. It's a shame you didn't keep your old Xbox profile, because you did actually manage to get ZBB, didn't you?
I'm just remembering my name on my EA account Battlefield name, which was Dan Friggin Train, because it wouldn't accept Dan Train. I tried various variations, I ended up with Dan Friggin Train, because I was so annoyed. I don't know if that's still my EA account thing. If I got Need for Speed Hot Pursuit and it said log into your bloody EA account, I'd probably write Dan Friggin Train into it. I'm not sure.
It's pretty good generally, though. I find that when I found Glacial Spoon, it tended to work. So whenever I've logged in, even now, if I log in as that, I don't really have a problem. It's I've probably got
EA?
them all. Yeah, I've probably got them all everywhere now, anyway, so no one can have it. But I have my name is on every website ever.
Didn't it?
Well, don't get me started about EA accounts. They're fucking ridiculous. I finally got my Burnout Paradise login to work, but I had to log into the EA account, create a new account on the EA thing under a new persona, as they called it, that was just an EA ID. It wasn't attached to any specific game. And then Burnout was aware of it. I couldn't just tell the EA website, well, use my Xbox as the default, or use my PlayStation as the default, or use my Battlefield as the default. They're all different, and games don't understand them. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Oh, one other thing, playing Dirt 2, that was my first experience of games for Windows Live. And it's pretty cool. I quite like it.
It's alright, it just works, doesn't it? I know people that really have a Barney with it, and don't really get on with it at all.
I could see what you were playing on the Xbox while I was on the PC.
I don't have a problem. Apparently, that people have. There are a few problems with it, like the update cycle isn't so hot. Like, it doesn't, if you've bought a game through Steam, it won't update through Steam. It will update through Games for Windows Live the next time you launch the game.
Right, yeah.
Which, admittedly, doesn't happen that often for Games for Windows games, because they follow the sort of Xbox
That
routine.
did happen when I was trying to install Dirt 2. I did have
there's a small update, isn't there? Yeah.
Because, it updated about 3 times, and Steam kept trying to tell me, sensibly, it was trying to tell me my CD key, so that I could use it once I got into the game, but it kept telling me, even though I'd already entered it, and then it said, don't
it does that anyway.
show this again, stuff like that. But the reason that it kept telling me was because it kept having to install these updates for Games for Windows Live, I think. But once it had sorted that, or DirectX, whatever it was, but once it had sorted that out, it works fine. I mean,
the games I play that need CD keys, Steam just tells me about them every time anyway. I can't seem to get rid of that. It just always tells me about it as a little pop-up on screen that I have to go to the overlay to get rid of.
Oh, okay. I didn't have that problem after the initial time. Maybe there's an option.
I get that with everything. It's really irritating.
But I like how the 360 controller, when using that on Windows, the guide button does the guide. Pops up with the Windows Live thing.
It's neat.
It's nice.
It's all well made.
So that's all good. So I won't be put off by. I had no idea Dirt 2 had it until I launched it, and then I was like, oh.
And you can get your Devos.
Cool. Yeah, achievements. I was like, sweet. I was going to get this on console, but I got it for cheap because I thought, well, I'll get it for cheap, but I won't. No, I won't. Oh, bummer! I won't get the achievements. But no, I do get the achievements. Although I haven't earned any yet. But yeah.
Still get your Chivos.
Chivos. I only really care about Chivos on like really good games because I don't care about my overall gamer score because it's roughly about half of yours, and I think it will be forever. Because you'll increase at achievements probably double the rate that I will for the rest of time. So when
you've been playing more games than I have recently.
A little. I've caught up a little, but I'm still only about half. You're on like 20,000.
But the annoying thing is that I've got the bit I don't really sort of go competitive on achievements. I'm trying to get my ratio up of how many are available to. When you're in the guide, you've got that total to got.
Oh.
Sort of graph.
Shit, but then you have to be careful. You have to be careful
not to play games and get a single achievement on them, which is what I have quite a lot.
Or don't install a trial version of a live arcade game. Just to try
some of them give you some. Well, no, most of them won't give you achievements until you've bought it. But
right, okay.
Because it's kind of the thing. You could have got this achievement if you owned the game, you bastard.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that works. But
yeah,
there are because annoyingly there are a few games that I play when Rock Band style games have notoriously hard achievements to get, so that pushes my ratio in the wrong direction.
Oh, they do, yeah.
And we were playing Lips the other night. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I was playing Lips. I was karaokeing like a bad mofo.
It's
and
it's all good.
It's not very manly.
I didn't know you owned Lips.
I don't. My brother does.
I thought so. Your brother owns Lips?
Yes. He owns 3 copies of it.
Okay.
He managed to jip the system. Admittedly, one of them's slightly a different version of Lips, but he has 6 microphones now for some reason. So, which is a bit random.
You can plug in, isn't it?
Yeah, it can support 4. Not that the games actually support 4 properly, but anyway, that's a different conversation. I'm not going to go into Lips. But anyway, yeah, we got a few achievements on that, so it'll be a few more sitting on my account of, you've got Lips, and you've earned a certain number of achievements. But I'll never get the rest of them. Nor do I want to.
No.
It's...
Well, that was
I only really care about
signing in your account and then signing in your account while saying we can get points.
I know there's a conflict in my head. Like I want to get that ratio up, but at the same time I just want points. It's like I always succumb to the I want points.
So it's really
I have no idea why, but it's not worth it. But it's.
I don't care how many I have overall. I just care about how many I get in games I really like. Like I'm quite proud of having got all the achievements in Batman.
That is
for
quite
example.
Skill.
Yeah, but I don't really care about my overall total. Anyway, but because your overall total is also a reflection of how much time and money you put into gaming, rather than like any skill thing. Whereas if you
how much at least you've played on the Xbox compared to everything else.
I suppose, yeah, but.
It still feels quite nice. You know, it's sometimes it's a nice sort of like anti-frustration device if you're playing a game against someone and you check out their gamer card and they've got a ridiculous score. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm pretty sure I can battle
fair
this
enough.
knob jockey. It's
on live, yeah. So you can just go and see their profile and see how many crazy.
It's not so easy on PlayStation to get to people's cards, but
it's like my boss at work. When I was working at Talis. I mean, if you met him and raced him online and he beat you, you could look at his profile and see that he hasn't got any points on Halo, but he has like 900 points on Forza 2, 900 points on Forza 3, 900 points on Dirt.
Here's a racing
here's a racing person, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
I suppose by that logic, you look at my Chivos and they're kind of an even spread amongst everything. But
yeah, but
I very rarely max something out or get close to it.
Yeah, but that's cool. So yeah.
Well, we could talk about. There's the bad news, isn't there, that Zach told me about yesterday, and I read up a little bit about today and got nowhere with it. Deus Ex has been delayed.
Oh yeah, delayed. Yeah, that's. Yeah, it's a shame. But there's a reason. It's some stupid financial reason, isn't it? It's like,
they want to push it to the next financial year to make next year look good because they know this year's going to look bad because of FF14. So instead of trying to make it look less bad, so they're just going to go, we'll make next year look awesome.
We'll just polish it or whatever in the time being. And it's like, well, I don't know, because
it'll be weird because they can say it'll be great because they could say to their shareholders or whatever, look, we've had this much of a percentage increase from last year, and they'll go, ooh, that's brilliant, wow. And maybe they're thinking that in a year's time they'll all forget about the terrible failure that this year was for them.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not feeling especially impatient about Deus Ex 3. As long as it's good and doesn't...
Yeah, I know what you mean. We've waited long enough.
Yeah.
We can wait some more.
I don't mind waiting, as long as it doesn't date graphically, which I don't think it is going to, particularly. I mean, it has quite...
like 6 months.
Yeah, and if they keep polishing it, if that's all they do with the time left is improve it graphically, then that's cool.
Well, no, Zach brought up that there might be moving the dev team about... Well, I suppose it was when it was in the rumour stage. I wonder if they took people off the Deus Ex team to go help FF14 out, and it's like...
Well, they're in like Toronto or something, aren't they? Where are they? Or because it's the city that they're in is in the game, isn't it? Because there's Hong Kong, obviously, but there's also some Canadian, I think, city or...
That mysterious faraway place.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not sure about the whole Hong Kong 2 levels thing, because the game isn't set very far in the future, because it's a prequel to Deus Ex, and you know, have you seen the Hong Kong with 2 levels thing? It's like Blade Runner, or specifically, it's more like Final Fantasy VII or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, a city with 2 levels. I can't see that happening for a while. To be honest.
No. That's quite a long way off.
Yeah,
and it doesn't exist does it exist in the original Deus Ex?
No,
because you go to Hong Kong, don't
Ugly
you?
greys, rectangular buildings.
Yeah, it sort of could, because the graphics of Hong Kong, especially, were so poor. Well, I don't know. It was quite funny going up. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even good at the time. What, the graphics in Deus Ex? They've always been fairly poop.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if you think about it,
they might have been alright at the time then.
Half-Life was pretty amazing looking when it came out, but it's better. I think it's better looking than Deus Ex, and it's 2 years prior, isn't it? Deus Ex was 2000. Half-Life was 98. Half-Life still looks better, I think. And definitely the character animation. I mean, if you look at the soldiers in Half-Life, they move around and they look really cool. You know, everybody in Deus Ex just looks stupid. But, I love that game. I bought that for Laura for Christmas, so I might be able to get her thoughts on Deus Ex at some point in the future. But yeah, it's like 59p or something. Yeah, check it out.
Retro reviews are always interesting for people that have just tackled an old game, like
never
in the future, to see how well it holds up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So
because if we went back at it, we'd look at it through rose-tinted glasses, and a little bit. So if someone new comes to it and sort of goes, but this is rubbish.
Exactly. So 2011 in games. I've actually got a list here off Giant Bomb, list of major games releases. So we might have a look through.
What are you excited about?
Well, I'll see what we got here. We've got Fear 3, Guild Wars 2. You guys play Guild Wars?
Guild Wars 1, yeah. Although I can't say I'm particularly fussed about it. Me and MMOs don't get on that well.
Okay. We've got Gears of War 3. Q4.
That's pretty high on my list.
That's exciting. Max Payne 3, apparently. I can't remember who's actually making that. Yeah. Well, have you heard about it? Because Max Payne looks different again. You know how he looked different in the second game to the first game? Now he's like bald or something.
Oh, so he doesn't look like Mark Wahlberg then?
No. I can't remember who's... Rockstar Vancouver are making it.
There's Uncharted 3.
Let's see what else. Yeah, Uncharted 3 obviously will be amazing. It's like they said on Uncharted. It is true that, like, almost inevitably that, you know, we were talking about the game of the year for 2009 being Batman versus Uncharted. That's pretty much what it's going to be for 2011 too, isn't it? Because
Batman versus Uncharted. Well, I don't know. Gears of 3 might be out there. Gears of 3, Gears of War 3.
Maybe. I don't know. That's stiff competition from Uncharted 3 there, isn't it?
Yeah, that is stiff competition. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Awesome too. What else we got?
DC Universe. Oh,
that looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, I have a passing. They haven't really released much info on Brink, really.
Yeah.
It's like not.
I saw a video on it
about.
ages ago, and it looked weird and amazing and weird and.
It's a bit different. It's got a bit of a Borderlands vibe to it, if you don't mind me saying it, and that it's sort
got
of
slight cell shadedness or something, isn't it?
Yeah, like, that it's not overly serious in the way it seems to do business.
Zelda Skyward Sword. That's supposedly this year. I bet that'll slip until next year. Diablo 3, which I'm quite excited about. Actually.
A Blizzard game. That's two Blizzard games in 2 years.
I know, and a Blizzard game that I actually... Because World of Warcraft I can't play because it would take over my life, and StarCraft 2, I'm shit at RTSs. I mean, I might play it anyway, but I'm crap at those games. But Diablo 3, single player, I would totally sit down and play that.
Well, it's like having actually
co-op too.
Having actually played through Torchlight, that could be interesting.
Exactly. Speaking of Torchlight,
I never used to like
Torchlight 2, Torchlight 2 with co-op, it's spring 2011 according to this.
Oh, really?
So look forward to that soon.
I didn't realise
I don't see the date on that at all.
Yeah,
doesn't seem likely.
Might not be.
But of course, it's Torchlight 2, so they might not. It doesn't seem like also, it doesn't seem like it would actually take very much work.
Also, I think they're busy. Unless they've got bigger, they'll be busy on the Xbox version of Torchlight 1.
Can they really release that when they're going to release Torchlight 2 practically at the same time?
Apparently they still are, yeah.
Well, it's still kind of exciting though. I mean, considering how good Torchlight was kind of out of the blue, and considering they're adding the co-op and stuff, I think it could be pretty awesome.
I'm going to have to tag all these, by the way, because this is going to be a ridiculous list for a lot of quickly mentioned games.
That's true.
Talking about more games we actually play.
Yeah. Just what else have we got? Just quickly. Forza 4, Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Everyone's excited about that. Because it's a new engine. Hooray. Rage, apparently.
Rage.
The Old Republic's coming out. That'll be interesting. Portal 2, that's the one we want. Bulletstorm. Oh my god.
That looks like it might be fun.
It looks so stupid. I mean, did you see the videos with Cliffy V? So funny. I don't know. It just looks insane, basically. Was it kill with skill? I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be good, it could be awful. I mean, I just have no idea, really.
It's either going to go one way or the other, isn't it? I don't think it's one of those games that can really walk the middle ground.
Yeah. We got Killzone 3.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
2, Little Big Planet 2.
Which is already out.
Is that out?
I think so.
Yep, January 18th. Yep, that was about 3 days ago. So yeah. Anyway, so lots of cool games to look forward to. Let's move on to games we've actually been playing again. Zach, you haven't talked much this podcast. Let's get into something that you've been playing. I mean, we kind of glanced over Super Meat Boy. All we said is it's awesome.
Again. Let's go back to that.
Yeah, go on, talk about it.
Well,
and that was only like an hour ago.
As I was trying to say at the time when we first mentioned it, there's not really much to say about it, except you guys need to play it more. God damn.
Yeah, we do.
I know, but you just get a game and you have so much free time that you can play it for like 2 days.
I haven't actually played it that much, really.
How many hours have you played it? How many times
compared to his other games on this list, he has.
Yeah.
Well,
oh, by the way, I was looking at our
so
tier 2 hours. I hadn't realised how far off I am in terms of hours from you, Rob.
In terms of what? In TF? It's because
you
barely played it in the last year.
I know, but... No, shut up. I played plenty of TF2, but it's only like 80 hours. You've played 400 hours.
400.
You're on like...
You're over
1,200. You're 1,200 now.
Well, if you think my target... Hilarious. Well, no, you can't say that... Well, Zach plays it a lot, which is one thing, but he's played it a lot consistently over its entirely release.
That's like a day job.
Well, the worst thing is you know how high my hour count is? Well, I introduced someone to the game about 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And if you think how long TF's... that's my target over the entire length of the game. He's matched and beaten my target in that time. Jesus and he works in my company and has a child. I think I'm destroying his marriage by introducing him to TF2.
It's not World of Warcraft, man.
It's got trading. That's came in. I've seen him at work just in the middle of the day because I have my Steam turned on at work and because I play Racketeer at lunch, so I have my my Steam turned on. A little pop-up will come up saying he's now in Team Fortress, and I just look across the room and go, "What the fuck?" And he's trading.
Oh, he's trading. Okay.
Admittedly, it doesn't happen that much. I must say, in case any of my employers listen, but it's he's not that bad. It's like his screen break, except it's in front of the screen trading, and it's
Is he grateful to you for introducing him to like his biggest hobby?
He does, yeah, he does like it a lot, but divorce might be on the cards. No, I don't know.
So anyway,
it must destroy quite a lot of his home life.
How much have you played?
I could see it says 16 hours, which I guess is more than I thought it was. It doesn't feel like it because I guess you're only playing like 10 seconds.
Oh, he's in Team Fortress now, by the way. That helps.
So you played 16 hours of Super Meat Boy. I will get there. I'm working my way through. I'm on the third world or whatever. My problem is that every time I complete a level, I have to do it. I have to get the A+, obviously, like immediately. I can't go past the level without getting the A+.
I know what you mean. I'm the same.
Keep doing that until I A+'d everything up until the end of Hell, and then I kind of gave up once I got to the Rapture, because then it started getting really stupid.
Right.
So you can probably carry on A+ing it until you're done with Hell.
Oh man, I spent ages trying to do just that one on the second world where it fires that laser straight up. I don't know why, but I couldn't get that ace on that because because once you get up to the first notch, and this is going to be really boring for anyone who doesn't play Super Meat Boy, you get up to the first notch and then you wait for the laser to go past, but then there's a second notch, but you have to really bypass it and go straight up if you want to get the ranking. But I couldn't do that second one in run no matter how many times I tried. And I don't know.
But luckily, that's right at the start of the level. So.
Yeah, that is true.
It's not like you're wasting a lot of time getting there and then cocking it up.
Yeah, but check this out. You're talking in some detail about the incredible fine points of platforming, and you're interested about it. This is what this game has done to you. It's like taken what is normally the boring parts of a platform game, like jumping, and made it the entire point of the game.
It's so good.
So basically, you guys need to hurry up and get to the end.
Yeah.
Break it.
I've got other games to play now.
Which means Rob needs to stop trying to do Dark World at the same time as doing Light World.
Yeah, it does.
Which is his problem with it.
Alright. I haven't done that.
And I need to stop playing Blur, which is a bit of a problem.
I have to stop
Because he
playing.
can't resist.
I can't. It's like at the moment that's my go-to game.
But get to the end of Super Meat Boy so you can do the ridiculous final boss, or Light World final boss. I haven't even got to the Dark World final boss. That's probably insane.
Why do you want us to get to this boss so much? Because it's
I
so
want
hard.
to talk about how ridiculous it is, but I can't say anything more without spoiling things.
Is it a giant Terminator?
I'm not going to say. But as I mentioned to Rob, it's like you can play Super Meat Boy at like basically any time you have a moment, because obviously it doesn't actually take very long to do one level, providing you don't get totally stuck. But then it's like once you actually get to the final boss, that's when you have to like put aside like an hour and a half because it took me fucking forever.
Well,
I'm considering making it like a play for 10 minutes every day thing. So you have to feel like I have to play it every day for a short time, because then you're less frustrated. Sometimes you come back to it and you can do it. Yeah, and sometimes you come back to something that you're having trouble with, and you can do it better the first time. I don't know why. Do you ever get that?
Yeah.
You do it in one when you come back to it.
The beginner's luck approach.
Yeah, it's mysterious. Especially when you know the level already, then you have that beginner's luck when you come back to it, or whatever. I don't know.
There's always something funny about the first time you try something, because you go into it sort of fresh. It's weird, because it's the whole beginner's luck theory, isn't it? It's kind of that way, that you actually do better when you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're not trying so hard.
Yes.
As soon as you start to try and you seem to think you know the mechanics, you start adjusting your strategy, often in the wrong way, because you haven't quite got the grips of how to actually
nullify that. In Super Meat Boy, it's sort of nullify that a little bit by the fact that normally the best way to get through a level is to be moving instantly at the start and do everything at full speed.
Yeah.
Because it's all.
To try.
That's one of the best things about it is
what you're doing.
When they developed it, they obviously set the times of everything so perfectly so that everything gets out of the way if you're going at full tilt just at the right time, doesn't it?
Oh, you know what? That's made me think of a very... how you love the Insta-Spawn thing on Super Meat Boy.
Oh,
it's made me think of a slight flaw in Blur.
What's that?
A very slight flaw. I have to stop my gush. It's the restart has a load.
No.
Which is irritating.
Is it short? I mean, because one of the things I liked most about Burnout 3 was on the Xbox specifically, and not the PlayStation 2, was that the restart load was super short.
Yeah, that is awesome. No, it's not. It's shorter than starting from scratch, but it's still not short enough.
Okay.
There you go, minor flaw. Ooh, it's not really perfect.
So what do you think? I'm not very good at Super Meat Boy, so you're going to have to forgive me if I don't get to the end that quickly, because I suck. I know. I know. Zach, I think you'll probably be a lot better at it than I ever will be. But, I mean, one thing one of the guys on the PC Game podcast said about it was that at first, like, you beat the levels and you're really happy to have beaten it or whatever, and that's great, a great feeling. But that as it got on, that feeling of accomplishment for finally beating the level was completely tempered by looking at the next level and going, oh god, that's impossible. So it's not like a reward for beating something, it's actually like
you just know that by completing it, you're just serving up more punishment.
More punishment, yeah, exactly. So what do you think about that?
It's masochistic heaven.
Sometimes there certainly are a couple of times where it's like the next level's come up and it's just been like, what the fuck do you even do here?
Yeah, it's like, what? But at least like there's no penalty for just trying things out. That's the best thing about the instant respawn. It's like, what do I? Well, I can jump around and try things.
Yeah,
you know.
And then sometimes you like sometimes, as I discovered when I was watching one of Rom's replays, he actually worked out the proper way to do the level rather than the way I was doing, which was much more difficult.
Oh, that's happened to me too. Yeah, I've had, because once you think you found a solution, you just keep trying it and like punishing yourself until you can do it. Don't you?
It's like you can put it off once, and then it's like, I can do that. So now you have to just learn the incredibly precise timing for that one thing, where there's probably actually a really much easier route.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was how it went. But now, moving on to Super Meat Boy, because goddamn, we talked about nothing a lot. I mean, not games a lot. We've talked about stuff, important stuff. Just not games.
I don't know if games can be really been called important stuff.
In the context of this podcast, yeah, they are.
Oh, well, okay. Forgive me for having a big picture moment.
Forgive me for thinking about children starving in Africa for a second and the woes of the world.
Poor Ethiopians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. But computer games.
But computer games.
Go on,
I played SpaceChem because it came out stealthily without my knowledge on like January the 1st, which is the worst day to release anything.
Oh, is that game based on that Flash game you were playing then?
Yeah, the alchemical engineering thing that I talked about before.
So how is it?
It's totally awesome and incredibly. It's like super hard puzzles. It's like
pretty much as geeky as a puzzle game could be. If you don't mind me saying, it's incredibly techy. It's like programming on chains. Sort of.
So you like it more than the Flash game, do you? Because when you were talking about it in development, you were thinking it might be dumbed down and made for an iPhone or something. You were talking about.
Well, no, I was saying it would be good on iPhone because of the way it should. That clearly should be a touchscreen controls. And in fact, it almost has a sort of element of that in the PC version, where instead of like clicking and dragging symbols or whatever, you just hold down one of the keyboard buttons and it holds down that button, and then you just click, so it creates the right symbols. So like when you're doing the directions, you just hold down WASD and click, and it creates the correct direction arrow.
Oh, that's clever.
Like a simplification. I didn't bother learning any of the other. Because it's like it goes all the way from like WSD, and then you've got like QERTTGYH. It's like, okay, I'm never going to remember most of these. I'll just have to do the rest by clicking.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're like putting these program things in, and you know, because the thing about the alchemical engineering was it had those little arms that pick up the thing and then rotated. But they rotated around a fixed spot, and then they could only be so long or so short. And that was how programming went with that. Whereas in this one, it's like picking up and moving the molecule around a course, and then the commands happen on that loop. And then you have to like join shit together, obviously, and make the right shapes. It's a puzzle game.
But it does.
And then I showed like,
I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah. It's like you can't. It's not very easy to tell people what's happening if you just show them like one of the more complicated levels. You have to start from the start and let them learn it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the problems you face in it, though, and programming is the right word because a lot of the problems are the same as ones you would face in the programming world. It's like you've not only got to figure out the correct. I know, but it's my job. It's not something I really want to do in a game. It's that's the bit that doesn't appeal to me. It's like you have a set of functionality and you have to use it in order to solve a problem. So you have to program the order in which it happens. Blah. But there's also issues like thread synchronization, where the fact that things have to happen in two different parallel ways with appropriate timing in order to get the best result. And there's also problems of essentially when your pipes get full up and stuff, like how you handle buffers of things. And there's a lot of parallels with the programming world in it.
Oh dear.
And therefore Ron is like, this is too much like work.
This is interesting,
Zach,
but it's my job. I don't really want to do that in a game.
I've never quite understood why, Zach. I mean, this is really off topic, but why haven't you ever learned any programming? You'd be good at it, and you could probably make loads of money at it too.
Because it's too difficult.
Exactly. Anyway, never mind. That's completely apropos of nothing, but still.
Yeah, hurry up, learn C++, and then get a job at Screen so I can
I've learned
upload
C++.
some of my work
It's
onto
not that difficult. Yeah, I've got a book you can buy.
Ron just wants to do less work.
I want minions.
Good motivator.
Yeah. That's all I'm after, minions. And you to have a suitable income for pizza buyage. That too.
I had a terrible...
That's like all that Ron spends money on, obviously.
Pretty much.
Pizza for you.
Pizza in general. Pizza for the world. I'm helping those Ethiopians with free pizza.
I heard an awful programming joke the other day. You want to hear that?
Try it.
Your mama so fat, the recursive function calculating her mass caused the stack overflow.
Wonderful.
There you go.
Not even very impressive. Not like... Not speaking enough.
You know what I'd say? You haven't got enough memory.
Just do it again. Just put more RAM in there.
Use a loop. Don't use recursion. Use a loop.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're just thinking about solving it in the program way.
Yeah, you just do it a different
your mum
way.
on a diet.
Yeah, just do it a different way. At the end of the day, my problem is calculating her mass.
That's true.
So that was SpaceChem, I guess.
Even if I suppose if I was programming it, if I actually came across a stack overflow or an exception, I'd just put fucking huge as the result.
Yeah. Yo, man,
That's always the best one.
I did that with a progress timer where if it can't work out how long something has left to go, it just says a while.
That's good. Well, that's better than Microsoft Windows telling you it's going to take 3 years or whatever it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, when it was copying something or 21 days. It's like, no, that estimate is clearly wrong. Just don't say anything if you're going to say something. Anyway, so that's SpaceChem.
Yeah. I guess I can't really talk about it because there's...
How much is that on
enough
Steam?
of an impossible to describe game. It's not on Steam. You have to actually get it from...
Oh, because
their
it's
website.
popped up on Steam and then
Yeah,
you
so
must
they
have
added it to Steam.
added it, so it's like non-Steam game. Okay.
Not
so,
that it even plays full screen. Or I don't have it in full screen. It doesn't need to be full screen, you know? It's not like graphics or anything, it's just icons.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy that for their website for $20.
Mm. What's the website? Spacechem.com or something? No, that'll be too
maybe.
generic. Someone will have already got that.
But they're the, I guess, game company, which doesn't seem like it, you know, it's not a big one. It's clearly just like some guy made this company at some point, along the lines of Minecraft and all that, where he's just like founded the company, and it's not very many people. But there's Zachtronic Industries.
Zachtronic.
That's quite appropriate.
It's
Yeah.
not your name, man.
Yeah, I know. And then I bought their game. How appropriate.
It's
You
just
could work
helping
for
them with their
You should
fat.
You should make puzzles like that for their games and stuff. You'd be good at that.
Oh, and there's a rumour that they're going to make an editor for it, of course, which would make sense since, you know, you just define an input and an output, and then you make it leave it up to the user to solve it. It's not exactly difficult to make a level, provided you know how it should be done.
Let's try and make it more complicated with the factory map and things.
So, are you going to get into the editor for Super Meat Boy when that comes out shortly?
That would be a bit more difficult, I imagine. It'll be the timing thing that no one will be able to do it, or only certain people will spend the time to learn how to do the. Because that's really the trick to Meat Boy.
They have a Little Big Planet problem that there's millions and millions of shit levels. And only a few really good ones.
That's true.
How many will involve an infinite rain of bombs?
Yeah, or a shark. After that one we found that one time about the shark chasing you.
Yeah.
Since then I found like another 5 that are pretty much the same.
That just copied it.
That just seems to be, now that I've stumbled upon them. It's like when I stumbled on the bombs and said I liked them, it then gave me a million more suggestions that was the same thing. Now that I liked the shark run thing, it's given me a million shark runs.
The bombs were a bit more simple and obvious, though. Rather than the shark thing, which was almost, it had some elements of the actual programmingness.
It's friggin' hilarious.
So I guess now I should talk about one more game before we run out of time. Because we're going to run out of time, aren't we? How much longer we got?
We're actually okay.
Is this by the 3-hour standard? Or...
This is by 2 hour 15. We've still got half an hour, so...
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
It seems like you've been doing a lot like that.
I thought I gushed fast enough, but okay. Awesome.
No, we're all good, so go for it.
So, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about Eve again, because the last part of the patch that was
stuff
winter patch finally came out. And
talk about the characters.
Yeah, it put in a new character creator. The
problem,
like, now you're not just a head.
Although, so they're going to use those models in future, aren't they? Like, you're going to be able to walk around the space station or some nonsense.
Yeah. So it's like, now you have a proper body with, like, a model and, like, clothes, but of course you just take a picture of the head. So you're still really a head at the moment.
At the moment, though, isn't it? That's the key. I mean,
yeah, but who knows when they're going to actually get round to doing all this station stuff. It could take forever. Literally.
I mean, the Eve face creator was quite advanced for the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was already pretty good. This is the problem with the new one. Well, this is the problem with the new one. They made this, like, pretty impressive technology, and it has you grab parts of the body and face and morph them by dragging and stuff. Right. Obviously, well, I say obviously. That just seems like a logical way you do it. It's not like sliders anywhere. Where it's nose slider. You just grab the nose, different parts.
And of course, the hilarious
boob slider.
And that was loud. And the famous PC gamer tactic of maximum face, which is where you put every slider to maximum. Maximum face. Anyway, yeah. So now you can grab them more.
You grab them more.
It's like the title screen of Mario 64.
Except slightly less extreme than that, luckily. But the problem with it is, like, the faces are, like, quite severely locked down to your race for a start. So it's like, if you're in the same race as someone else, they all sort of look vaguely the same. It's like,
if you're French, you all look French, right?
Yeah, well, actually they don't even look very French any longer, but it's like, if you're Armar, you're going to be an old dude. You're going to look about 50. You don't have any choice.
Wait, so they don't have young people in Armar?
Apparently not. Maybe
there's no story explanation for that. Then.
So do they not have babies? They're just an endless race of clones.
Well, that's one of the races in Galent is an infinite race of clones, but that's way too backstory to be. That's way too backstory for anyone to care about. But yeah, so it's like your face is sort of semi-locked to race, which is already pretty bad. And it's like, after you've done this trick at face morphing and stuff, there's so few goddamn options for parts of the face, like hair or eyebrows.
Oh, okay.
So you and particularly hair, it's bloody awful.
There definitely isn't enough hair.
You get like 10 options for Galent male. And none of them are long, which is the worst thing, because my old character had long hair. He looked pretty French,
didn't he?
Coincidentally, because he was he had long hair.
He was pretty pallid looking, wasn't he? He was quite white looking.
Yeah,
cool.
And I was like, I can recreate that. Oh wait, no, I can't, because there's no options for long hair apart from dreads, which look really, really bad.
Oh, dear.
So that kind of screwed me over. And
so
I was
you can't even make what you already had. Now that is a trouble.
No, it's like that's just a disaster. They should have. Isn't it obvious, you'd think, for making this upgrade, they should have recreated all the parts that already existed in the new one and then added some. That's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah. So
I only
overall,
vaguely like my guy.
So you don't like this overall, then?
Well, I mean, the tech is great, but definitely not enough options. And then they've said, like, we're making options for, like, tattoos and piercings, and then we're going to put that in another
APB. Did they buy the APB people or something?
Don't think so. It's their own in-house tech. It's, like, called Carbon or something. Powered by Carbon, which it's not very eco-friendly, apparently.
What? Why not? Carmen. Oh, like it. Oh.
It's putting out lots of carbon.
I don't know. Is that a better name than Game Face?
It's a better name. I don't know. Game Face is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Get your Game Face on. Literally.
That's quite cool. The EA Sports. I'm quite looking forward to the new Tiger Woods because it has the Masters. Which they've never had before. The Augusta National, and that's the only golf I ever watch on TV.
Really weird, though.
So I want to play that course.
That whole situation of like getting the rights for that, crazy.
Well, it's because no one's ever got the rights before, and they're being super extreme about it, aren't they?
Yeah, basically.
Like there was that story, wasn't there, about the scorecard that they sent them a scorecard to copy for the game, but then they were like, "This is our only copy. Please send it back." Well, not our only copy, but the only one we ever send to anyone.
Which, like, you can't have this.
Yeah,
because you only
you
get a
must borrow
scorecard
this
if you actually played on the course.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But it's still that does excite me more than any Tiger Woods game for a while, or golf game, because that course is awesome.
And fake courses that were sort of terrible.
Well, they had loads of famous, like Pebble Beach and stuff, and bloody St Andrews, which I don't ever want to play again because it's so because it's a links course. Of course, there's going to be tall grass everywhere. That's what it is. But it's really boring. I mean, Augusta National is such a beautiful course.
It's not very much to look at, is it?
No,
exactly.
I don't think they ever did as much of a good job of rendering it.
That's true, but I mean,
it's awful.
But you've got more to start off with in terms of this with Augusta National because of all the flowers and the bridges and all the wildlife, and it's just generally awesome. So that'll be cool. Anyway, Eve.
Yeah. So anyway, you get so little options for like hair and stuff, and then you get virtually no options for clothes. I mean, obviously that doesn't really matter at the moment. And they said they're going to put in this patch for like tattoos and piercings in the future, and then they sort of suggested that you'll get to remake your characters when they do that again, which is kind of weird in itself, where it's just like, so why not just wait until we had these? But then, I mean, obviously, what this is leading to, the end of this road, will be horrible, horrible microtransactions to buy more stuff. No!
What do you mean, buying tattoos or something? Oh, I see, you mean real microtransactions. You mean with real money?
I think they're probably going to build it into an in-game system where it will use, like, the buying your subscription using in-game money. That same system will be... But
it'll be really weird, because in terms of the actual flavour of the world, or whatever you call it, I don't know, but you're going to end up with jackets costing similar prices to ships.
Yeah.
It's
not going to work.
It's just dumb. Yeah.
It's going to ruin the world.
It's like TF2, it's like hats cost more than guns, and that makes sense in TF2, but I
had one of those moments just then where I said it'll ruin the world, and for someone listening to just my part of the speech, it would sound like we're talking about something slightly more dramatic than even. It will ruin the world.
The entire world.
That seems to be what this is heading towards, worryingly, and sort of annoyingly. And they have suggested before that they want to actually maybe at some point introduce some kind of ship customization. Like maybe you can have your corporation logo on the side of your ship or something, or you can color it slightly differently somehow.
Right.
So presumably those will get microtransactions as well. It's like, as soon as they put the system in place that seemed to suggest that they were going to go to microtransactions, now everything they do, you just think, oh shit, microtransactions are coming.
Oh, okay. So it's this permanent, like, sword of Damocles over the whole game world is, oh god, they're going to implement...
Like any second really now, cheap. We're totally fucked.
But they're going to be... they're quite responsive to their community, obviously, otherwise they would have survived so long.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Are they not? Are they not responsive? Like, yeah, they hate us all. Fucking CCP.
This is one of those things that is like, it's hard to tell... Well, I'm going to say this, where it's like, it's hard to tell how responsive they are to, like, community problems, because they never fucking say anything to the community, which in itself is not responding to the community, and yet things still get done. It's like, they never tell you anything, like, they never...
So they never say, because of popular demand, we've done this, or...
Well, very rarely. Or they'll, like, acknowledge that a problem exists and say, we're going to fix this, and then just never say anything about it again, until suddenly the fix appears one day in a patch. It's like, that's not good community relations. You're meant to sort of keep us updated on these things. And they've barely only just started learning to, like, update on patch day, have a forum post that's stickied that says, this is when it's meant to come back up, and then when they inevitably extend the downtime, update that post with more information that says, this is why we've just extended the downtime, because we're idiots.
Yes,
like, they've only just learned to do that after, like, 7 years.
None of this sounds like they don't listen to the community type stuff. It's not like, none of this sounds like it deserves the response.
Well,
they are actually fixing the game in the way that the community says. They're just not being particularly verbal about it. And that's the simple bit of getting it done.
This is another one of those things where you can't really say, because it's all my main, like, experience of the devs and community of Eve is over the forums, where basically forums are, of course, only the stomping ground of whiners, so they're going to whine about everything, and then if the devs ever respond to anything, they're going to take that and rip it apart, because it's like, we must dig for every tiny shard of information out of this dev comment, or whatever. So it's really hard to tell, but sometimes it just doesn't feel like they're getting stuff done in the right order. It's the classic complaint of, like, stop introducing content and bug fix all these bugs that we've already told you about, god damn it.
Right. Yeah, maybe they should just adjust, like, who's working on what, just within their team slightly, so they have more people working on, fixing things.
They did a weird, like, they made lots of sub-teams and stuff for this recent patch where it's like, these guys are only working on this, and it seemed more organised this time, which... Well, I don't know if it worked, but there's another thing I can't say. It's like I don't keep up enough with the e-forums because I get really bogged down in reading stuff. It's like if I start reading a forum, it'll be like, oh shit, 2 hours later, damn.
Yeah, you can be there all day on forums, can't you? It's ridiculous.
Oh man, reading.
Yeah. You have to be careful as a bloke with disposable income, just in general, of how many hobbies you get involved with, because they can take up all of your time if you're not careful. Like if you add one, like Rob's friend has added TF2 to his work and his family life, and it's like one hobby too many, I mean, I'm obsessed with the guitars and effects pedals. I can easily spend 2 hours on a forum for effects pedals, and that's just time completely wasted because I can't afford to buy any of the things on there. And I don't know. And it's you could acquire so much obscure knowledge that no one cares about except like I could tell you all kinds of things about it and you would not care. Anyway.
Yeah, and there's one more thing I guess 2 more things I kind of wanted to mention about the new Eve patch. Let's make it free. I'm going to keep going up with things. Go with these first ones. There's the classic, this was an instant forum post classic for the complaining people or the basically trolls to latch onto and sort of take the piss out of. But it's like, now that your appearance is locked onto your race, there's only one specific race that can be black.
Really?
It's like, wow, that's public relations nightmare incoming, lol.
What, could you be black no matter who you were? before.
I don't think you could be darker. I don't think you could necessarily be black on all of them before, but now you got like only one race that could actually be black, and none of the other ones.
Is there are races.
That's the weird thing. Does this really count as racism in the sense that they are depicted as races? It's a slight grey area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's slightly odd.
I kind of also feel bad for the players of that race because it's like now you're the only race that can be black, so you're already subject to black racism. But the race that they chose for the black people is also Minotaur, which is already the sort of classic joke of Eve because their ships look like junk piles, so everyone takes a piss out of them for that. Like, they've stacked the racism.
Oh no! I mean, it's only bad when you combine it like that, I think, but when you actually look into it at that level, you'd think some of the other races would have the one or two. I got to watch my wording there. We'll have one or two sort of extra, like the odd pig person from another.
Well, they did
ethnicity.
Kind of do that. Every race got like a third sub-race, I guess, in it on one of the previous expansions, and that was where they basically made every race now has an Asian version.
Oh god.
But those still exist, I guess.
If I was going to play Eve, I would totally get the most ghetto-ass spaceship I could. The most junkyard-looking, giant junkyard-looking battleship. That'd be so funny.
I'll get the Typhoon. It's the one that looks like a giant trash can, because it's basically a sort of... The model is basically a hollow hexagonal sphere. Cylinder. So if it flies with it sideways, so it like the hollow is pointing forwards, basically.
So if you called yourself Oscar the Grouch,
call the ship like something.
It would be awesome if they used gushes as one of its abilities, that it could just drive into people and then crush them.
Well, it just had a giant crusher in.
It'd be a giant trash reactor.
That's not very Eve, is it?
Pretty funny.
Oh well.
And then what was the other thing I was going to say? I came up with two more things. Oh right, apart from the character creator, I was also going to mention that they messed around with the planetary interface, which was maybe more important to me even than the characters. And that remains to be seen if it's a good or bad thing. It seems like probably lower production for more effort. It was another classic case of it was like they made this promise before the fact where it's like, we're going to reduce the click-fest planet interface, because all you did with planetary interfaces, every time you restarted your extractors, it was like, double-click on the extractor to open the deposits, double-click on the deposit you want. Do that for every single extractor you own. And it's like, oh, it's a click-fest, we're going to get rid of that. So what they actually did was make it so that instead of double-clicking the extractor every day, you click and drag the extractor head to a new location every time. So it's like, well done, you've reduced it by maybe one click.
And you've made it so you have to accurately drag each time rather than just going click. So that's worse.
So it takes longer and it's not actually reduced the number of clicks very much.
Genius.
They delivered on their promise, right?
Oh god.
That's one of the cases of taking the feedback a little too literally, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But this was another where you get like a dev comment after this where it's like, well, not really after, sort of during this, they were saying it's like they were making the planetary mining interface more like what it was meant to be. It's like, so we got used to this clickfest method, but that was actually really crap, and it wasn't how it was meant to be in the first place. And this new click and drag interface, which is a lot like cooler and more detailed, is more what it was meant to be, but because we got used to the shitness, we're like, oh no, making it too difficult.
Yeah. So you think they should wait to release features longer
God,
than
should
they
they
do?
ever? This is the same problem that has turned up in Eve over and over, where it's like, it's a classic.
But they're using their community as beta testers, aren't they? Yeah.
Or well, you see a lot of comments where it's like, we told you about this on the test server, why did you still release it?
Oh, right.
The only time they ever seem to have listened to that was the first time when they put the planetary interface in, where they delayed that patch a lot. It was like, we realise this is actually bad.
Okay.
So maybe they have learned something. Maybe they're getting better at it.
Maybe they are.
Time will tell.
So.
I think that was it.
We're still playing.
I can't remember if I had a third. I had a third point, I'm sure, but maybe that got mashed into one of those other two.
That's cool. So is
We
that
don't
all
need
the
to talk about
games?
forever because
It does kind of put me into a weird limbo
I like
sleep
talking
state.
about it sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. That, yeah. I heard all this yesterday, so it's.
Well, yeah. I'm just really telling you stuff before we do.
Yeah. It was interesting then.
I like the fact that we do this podcast now because in the old days before we did this podcast, Zach would still spout off about Eve in the exact same way, but with no audience apart from us. He didn't really care, at all anyway. So it's like
I'm awesome at talking about Eve. It's like
he had to get it out somehow.
Like no one cares.
And now he's got like a proper outlet for it, which I think is good because
therapy.
Yeah, it's good. I like it because someone out there cares, especially once we get the clip page for Eve up and running. Can with all the old tags, someone will be able to go on there and just and just listen to all of Zach's talk about Eve all in one row. It should be hilarious.
I was just thinking about if there was any more games that I wanted to fit in. Maybe we should do a quick mention for Borderlands again between me and Rob, because we've been playing it a tiny bit, a bit.
Yeah.
I was going to say tiny, but it's really never tiny for Borderlands.
Well, we sort of finished General Knox and we started on Claptrap, Revolution, Revolution, Gen, Clap, Super
and
Operation,
I was
Claptrap.
And I can't remember, was I trying not to spoil the end of Nox for you? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Was it that interesting, really?
No, it's not really much of an ending, really.
The boss was a bit... General Nox is like... He's a bit easy to stunlock. It's like
just shoot him enough, and he sort of stumbles a bit, and then he shoots him more, and he stumbles a bit, and then you shoot him. The biggest problem with that boss is his minions, which heal him.
Yeah.
When the medics come out.
You have to be paying attention. When you hear the siren, you have to actually not shoot the boss for a while and quickly go and kill off all the other buggers.
Which is the Borderlands boss that is just like the boss at the end of Opposing Force? Is this the one?
No, that's
the main game?
Last boss.
The original game, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The giant, mysterious lump of blue thing.
And then... How far did we get in Claptrap? Did we actually get to... Hang on, let me just think.
We were dossing around in the dump, weren't we?
Did we get through the dump? Did we go... We went into the canyon.
Back.
We went into the underground place.
This is fascinating radio. We should come back to this when we've played this.
We don't remember this. Well, in any case, we were getting through it, gradually.
Cool. All the DLC.
We're still playing Borderlands, surprisingly. We've
2009 game.
The Claptraps expansion, which was kind of funny, but also kind of like a bit cheap.
Okay.
It was
Don't get my hopes too high.
There was some entertaining, bits of dialogue and situations and stuff, but then it was just like it was a bit like reused mechanics. Rob will see when we get, because I'm trying not to spoil it, even though it's probably not even worth not spoiling, but you'll see how it's like they didn't really do anything different again.
Okay. It's very, despite the setting, they haven't really exploited it and made, because, well, I've said before, that's kind of Borderlands' biggest issue, is there's not enough variation in what you end up doing. And it's, the setting might be different and the reasons might be different, but what you actually end up doing is just go here, kill this, the majority of the time. I don't know. It's hard to say, but...
It's hard to say, yeah.
You run around only shootings and you get awesome guns. That's still all that matters. What I think they should have done for the expansions was made more weird gun variations. Like the shotgun that shoots rockets.
They should have come up with
if they made more weapon parts that did weird things, that would have been awesome.
A gun with one of those balls on a chain attached to it, so it fires it and then has to reel it back in.
You're talking about combining Borderlands with Bulletstorm, aren't you?
Kind of. That sounds like a good mix.
Yeah.
Borderlands didn't even have any there should have been at least like maybe a grenade launcher part or something. I mean, seriously.
Maybe. Well, when Gearbox are done with Duke Nukem, maybe they'll start work on Borderlands 2.
Well, I mean, there has a speculation that they want to do that.
They want to do
Well,
it.
they damn well should, given its success.
And they've just announced a release date for Duke Nukem. It's like May 31st or something.
Oh, cool.
So it has a release date after what? I don't even want to know. 96, wasn't it announced? No. 97 it was announced.
It's over a decade, that's all we need to know.
Yeah. So that would be cool. Borderlands 2. Of course, of that.
They need more guns. More.
Yeah. More crazy ass guns.
Oh, that was right. On that Bulletstorm video, it was like they had like the lead designer who's like a lady. Oh no, not the lead designer, producer or something, and they had Cliffy B, obviously. But she was like, "Well, every shooter has its shotgun. We've got 3, whatever." It's like
is Bulletstorm's has got the guy from Black working on it, hasn't it? Am I thinking of the right game?
No, that's the other one. That's Brink, isn't it? Or whatever it was called. Hang on, let me bring it up. Yeah, Brink is the one with the guy from Black No, I may be wrong.
I think it's the other way around. I'm pretty sure he's working on Bulletstorm or something else. He's not in Brink, I don't think. But...
Yeah, you might be right.
It's just because the name sounds a bit similar, doesn't it? Brink, Black,
Brink and Black. Yeah.
They both started and ended Kerr.
But I thought he was British, wasn't he, the Black guy? And Brink is a British developed game.
I mean, he's called something Black, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas,
weird thing about it.
Obviously, the Bulletstorm is epic, isn't it?
Again, this is fascinating conjecture.
Yeah, well, we'll correct it next week. But in the meantime, 4 minutes warning.
Okay, very brief note. Sonic Colors, I finished it. It was still awesome, pretty much all the way through.
Cool.
There was only one moment where I had a bad rail transfer, which was the classic old problem of old Sonic games. And it wasn't technically a rail transfer; it was a roller coaster transfer. But
you had that in Jet Set Radio Future as well, didn't you?
There's not much more to say really about Sonic Colors, other than it is cool all the way through. The music is great in places, seriously catchy tunes.
And
did you try turning it into Japanese?
It's always funny.
Yeah, the Japanese mode is quite funny. Although, to be honest, they don't say many of the things in Japanese. It's just sort of English with a Japanese accent, like "dwill."
Even better. That's even better.
And Sonic sounds a bit different. He sounds, quite a lot different from the American counterpart, actually, in American. But yeah, the biggest flaw is the bosses. They're all crap. There's no denying it. All the bosses.
I never liked bosses in Sonic anyway.
No, but Sonic 4 does a much better job of them.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of, in Sonic 4 there's a sort of skill to them, whereas in Sonic Colors it's pretty much a crapshoot.
It's been in Sonic 4 they just riff off some old bosses.
Yeah, all of Sonic 4 is the old games with a slight twist. So it's.
Oh, I did like that casino level where it just gave you 1 million extra lives.
Yeah, the card level. You just run past these cards and flip over if you get any sets of 3 lives in short space of time. You just give you a life, and so you end up it's your I'm running low level.
Yeah, so Rob had 25 lives by the end of it. It was just like, what?
It would make playing it challenge mode style a bit easier.
Yeah, but it's another case of why do we need lives in this game? What are you doing? If you're just going to make a level which gives you so many goddamn lives anyway.
That's true. They're a bit of an old, outmoded concept in general, lives, aren't they?
Can I just do a quick edit for those of them for people that listen that are not Facebook friendly? You can now follow us on Twitter at Saladcast.
I didn't even know that, so that's good to know. Awesome.
I made a post 22 minutes ago saying we're nearly done.
This is finally an actual, proper, genuine use for Twitter, because I don't have a Twitter account, because I don't.
No, neither do I. I don't see a point for me personally to have a Twitter account.
Now,
but it makes sense for the cast.
Yeah, people can tweet us questions and.
We've already had 2 people follow us before we've even made an episode.
Really? You can tweet that we're recording.
2 people.
And then people can tweet questions while we're recording, and then we can answer them at the end if they're actually.
Man, we'll have to be really popular for that to happen. Someone just happens to
leave some time.
Happens to be there. Right, 1 minute. Yeah. So
1 minute.
1 minute. Thank you for joining us on our first podcast of 2011. Many more to come,
Maybe
slightly more regularly.
Games to talk about, and then we can talk about each individual one a bit more.
I don't know. Yeah, what else? What are we going to look forward to? I've got Vanquish to talk about next time.
I'm going to talk about TF2 because I haven't played it until I just started playing it again. So I get to talk about.
That's always like fun.
And tons more stuff. So join us then. And 20 seconds. I don't know. I always start.
What are we going to do with 20 seconds, man?
Losing time. I always start my sign off like really early.
We'll just sing a song.
The end.